but it is Sharif and Joseph. Go get them.
Yes, yes, yes. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as that Midday Show. That is your boys, Joe.
Yes, sir.
And I'm Sharif. And we're going to wait for everyone to find their way on over from the other stream. We already have a couple of early birds. Shout out to JF Trader and Fairchild. Botrix joining us, as well as Matthew Booth. Whoop, whoop. I think you mean what up? What up, Matthew Booth? What's going on with you? We got Pitchbull, one of the OGs there in the chat. We'll wait as more people weasel their way on over. We got, excuse me, Pillsbury and Jeremy Newman. Hey, hey, hey to you as well. Day Trader Scott and Mateus Lane, Kenny D and Barry, Robert Isaac and Hope Richley, James D, Fiddleback, Ronaldo. We got Greg the Fifth, Bonjamin, and we got Kyle Lynn, Day Trader Cut, JR, Vic Yan, Novak, and Andrew Chow, FFTB. Why not? Glenn Smith as well as Bit Brendan, Cesar Sandoval. We got the Spark Shop. Huh. Interesting. T Money joining us as well, the Piper, so many different people. B Davis, we got Roberto Trader Without Stress. That's a hell of a name there. And we got Pretty Panda, so many people. John Del Segno, one of the OGs as well. Shout out to everybody. And shout out to my man right here. How was your weekend, homie?
It was great, brother. It was great. We just relaxed, went to the gym, did some work for you guys. Didn't do anything crazy, just relaxed, and that was it. How about you, man?
Love it. Yeah, same thing, man. You know, I was telling you off camera, we got in that run, got in that sesh, got a little bit of tennis, you know.
Let's go.
Let's go. By the water. All right, guys, before we jump into the lesson du jour, Joe, anything you want to cover?
You know what? Other than that, I think NVIDIA was strong. Everybody liked NVIDIA for the first opening drive of the session. We really liked NVIDIA there. So as you can see, we were strong out the opening drive, and I just looked for a continuation of the trend, and that's what I like to do. I emphasize on you guys, I'm not going to fight the market. I'm just going to join. I'm going to go where the volume's going. I'm going to go where the market is going, and that's exactly what we did with NVIDIA, Sharif.
Fantastic, man. Shout out to John Del Segno. We are capital letters printing on the China short. YINN is the name he's shorting. Didn't even have a look at that, but shout out to John Del Segno. What we're going to do is we're going to start talking about some level 2 guys. Kind of, you know, not a really in-depth lesson, but enough to kind of just get the less informed traders about level 2 up to speed. So let's get right to it and not waste any time. So welcome back, traders. Let's dive deeper into the level 2 order book, dissecting some of its intricacies to inform our small cap, news-driven intraday plays. We'll move beyond the buy and sell side orders and focus on advanced order types and these interpretations. So let's not waste any time, baby. Let's talk about dissecting these order books. We'll start, you know, as we always do, with a more basic interpretation, or a basic introduction, I should say. Let's start by talking about some of these different order types. The ones that I personally use, I don't think I've used a market order in a few years. Personally, I use limit orders. Limit orders, these are the bread and butter orders that specify a price at which a trader is willing to buy or sell. The order book shows the depth volume at each price level, and I'll show you what that means in a sec. So the limit order, all you really need to understand about this is you're telling the computer, you're telling the system, pay this price if it's triggered, or pay up to this price. So a difference between that and a market order is the market order just pays the price that is currently showing up on the level 1. So if that's $10.55, you're going to print at $10.55. But if you told the computer $10.50, it will not pay over that $10.50. Stop orders, super important, whether you know they're close by to get you out of trouble with a bad trade, or for you to take some profits down the line. Stop orders can be used for multiple uses. So these come into play only when the price reaches a certain level, which we call the stop price. They can be stop loss orders, which are sell orders, right? Stop loss placed below the market price to limit losses if the price falls sharply. We all know about these stop loss orders. But the stop market orders, these can be buy or sell orders. These are basically triggering once the stop price is triggered. These become market orders executed at the best available price. So you can have a stop limit or you can have a stop market. All right. Now, it's incumbent upon you as well, if you're going to trade in the pre-market and aftermarket, to figure out which order types work. When? I'm going to submit to you that these stop market orders, as well as market orders in general, are not, well, look, I've heard about traders getting triggered with market orders, pre-market and aftermarket. I personally haven't, so I'm going to submit to you that you will not be able to. So it's incumbent to use these limit orders, stop or otherwise, in the pre-market, in the aftermarket, okay? There's also iceberg orders. These only show a portion of the total size of the order. So if I'm trying to sell 100 lots, it may only show 10, right? It basically masks the larger buying or selling interest that lies behind it, or lies underneath it, I should say. The way to ID these sometimes is to look for sudden jumps in volume after the iceberg orders are partially fulfilled, hinting at a large order behind the scenes. The way I typically do it, I'm just going to pull up this level 2 here on Apple for a hot sec. If we're printing 231.74 over and over and over, and I look at this size, and there's 1 or 2 lots on a few gateways, and we're not moving, I know that there's an iceberg there. Yeah, Joe's shaking his head. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. So I know that there's likely a hidden seller behind there that's completely keeping the price down, despite the size over here not reflecting that kind of rejection. So iceberg orders, limit orders, and stop orders. Let's move on. Analyzing these order book dynamics. As you saw, the order book's flashing every which way. It's popping up numbers. It's moving up levels, down levels. It's a chaotic tool to use. Doesn't mean it's not usable. So let's talk about this order book management. So watch how the order book changes. All right. Are the bids actively moving up the price ladder, chasing the offer? Is that what's happening? Is the bid moving up aggressively? Or is there a stack of sell orders just above or below the current price, creating a potential sell pressure zone? So for example, when we're looking here at this Apple level 2, for example, if we're watching the tape just teleport, sometimes some of the traders on the floor call it tape teleportation, where we're just moving up aggressively, and then you see big size moving up with the bid. What do I mean by that? Look, we're printing 63s right now on Apple. Let's just say, for example, there was 1,000 lots at 53, not 63, but we're printing 63. What if we skyrocket into 83, and I see that same size that was sitting at 53, all of a sudden that same seller on the same gateway is sitting at 73. That means that big buyer is moving up with me as the price moves up. I like that if I'm long, because I know if a big sell order comes in, that order may prevent the price, at least momentarily, from tanking down. So I know there's a backstop of sorts behind me. Now that can be bamboozled. People can put orders onto the market, then pull them before the price comes in. So you shouldn't entirely rely on that. Technically, it's illegal, but people do it all the time. All right, so order book management, super important. Order cancellation as well. Cancellations can be just as informative to you as active orders. So for example, if a large buy order is pulled, it could signal waning buying interest, for example. Conversely, multiple ask cancellations at a resistance level or support, depending if you're going long or short, might suggest sellers are waiting, or buyers, for a better price to offload. And this is kind of what we're talking about here. This is what the order book looks like. I kind of just gave you that example over there, so you don't need to see a static order book. Let's talk about some of these advanced order book patterns. I'm going to talk to you about spooning, not the spooning guys think of. This occurs when buy orders are placed just below the current ask and sell orders just placed above the current bid price. It suggests that tight trading and possible price consolidation before a breakout. So it's basically you're straddling the order. And I know straddles are used for options, and so I don't want to use that specific term, but basically you're engulfing the price from the top side and from the downside. Some of these other more advanced order book patterns, we'll talk about these order book vacuums. This is where there's a significant absence of orders at a particular price level. It can indicate to you potential buying or selling zone, depending on the context. For example, a vacuum below support might indicate buying interest waning and waiting to fill the gap. Interpreting the order book as well, super important in different contexts. Pre-market analysis. Let's talk about the pre-market order book. So analyze the order book before the market opens, especially for these stocks that are gapping up, these small cap gappers that I love to trade. High bid volume at the ask price can signal strong buying pressure at the open, obviously, but there's also the post-news analysis, right? So after the news breaks, on these small cap gappers, maybe in the pre-market, maybe after the bell, it doesn't matter. See how the order book reacts. Does the buying volume dry up after that initial surge, or do you have that continuity in volume? You've often heard me talk about these small gap gappers that get their volume midday, that they're not slaves to the pre-market trade. They're not slaves to that, no volatility halt kind of trade in the pre-market. No, they get their whenever the news breaks, the volume comes in midday, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, whatever. Why do I like those? Because the initial interest is showing up midday. It's no longer the case where I'm just trying to take, whatever's left of the cookie, so to speak. So that's a look there, guys. So just remember, very basic introduction into level 2. Just remember that level 2 analysis is an art, not an exact science. By understanding these concepts and interpreting them in the context with the news catalysts and the market conditions, you can elevate your ability to spot these opportunities and make better informed level 2 decisions, Joe.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, shout out to Sharif for that. And just to add on to what he said, and before I do, I want to give a good shout out to my good buddy Greg V in the chat. Thanks for supporting us and everything. That's my longtime trading buddy. He's a great dude. We've been trading together for years and years. So great dude. Shout out to you, Greg. But yeah, totally to add to what Sharif was just adding. Order book. So I just took another trade here on NVIDIA. And why? Pretty much strictly because of the order book. Even though price was condensing here, we can see price compression, and then we have a little small breakout. But how did I know that price was going to break out there? Because orders were stacking up on the level 2. When I see orders, you can see that I have quote highlights here. That's a certain amount of share size. When I see those orders stack up on a specific side, that can indicate an imbalance on the level 2, right? So when I see that the level 2 and the ask was really strong with a bunch of orders stacking up onto the ask, that can indicate, hey, maybe this stock is going to break. Just because it says that doesn't mean, oh, we see an imbalance on the level 2, doesn't mean I'm going to take it. You still want to see an influx of volume, which we slightly did when we broke out. But that was a big conviction that, hey, this stock might want to go higher. We had strong opening drives. So again, I'm going to look for the continuation of the trend. And that's what I'm always going to do. And that's what brought me to decide that I'm going to take this breakout on NVIDIA. We got some size off, and then we got stopped out break even, which is totally fine. We got the meat of the move that we're looking for, and any continuation, hey, maybe we'll join it. But first, we're going to wait for a pullback, maybe to VWAP, and then we'll get in again. But here, we're breaking out. As you can see, we might go higher, and we might break these pivot highs, but that's fine. We're going to take our trades, we're going to take our setups, and we're going to look for things that we know that we have edge in. And as you can see, this is a perfect example. If you look at the level 2 right now, you can see the imbalance on the ask. Dang. This can mean that we are potentially going to go higher. Look where these orders are stacking. The bid has almost nothing, and we see things on the ask. This is what we're looking for. And when you're looking for conviction in the direction of a trade that you're going to take, look for these things that Sharif is pointing out, that we're pointing out, the imbalance on the order book. Sharif.
Bang. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate you adding to that. Excellent color there, man. Joe knows his stuff, so keep your eye out or your ears open for the hot lines that Joe's dropping. All right, so I'm in CAPR, and if you guys were trading with us on Friday, you know this is a small cap gapper holdover from last week. Let's chat about it. We're up another 25% today, but unlike last week, we have a bit of a bigger market cap this week, obviously, because we've been pamping. $187 million market cap, having traded about 4.2 million shares today. The float on this bad boy is a gnarly 29.183 million. Let's shout out the NOS boss today, who was showing us all sorts of world-excluding USA ETFs, which I thought was just really funny. But shout out to him, and obviously very useful as well. So shout out to NOS boss. CAPR AAPL has the beautiful short float of 24.4, and we're printing up a storm on this, Joe. Here we go, baby. Right through the top right away. We're not even waiting, my boy. Get it, Adara.
Beautiful.
Worth noting here, we do have some strength in some of these weed names, more specifically CGC. We did have this new 15-minute candle, a little bit red, but it started about a minute ago. Generally nice uptrend for Canopy Growth and some of these other names. Again, no news, decent amount of social media attention. I'll keep you guys posted.
Daryl's going to be dropping hot lines all the time here. So
all day.
And exactly. And I mean, we've only got so many eyes. You've only got so many eyes. Now Daryl's going to be helping us out, and I could not be more pleased about that, especially because she knows her stuff. So shout out to Adara, absolutely killing it on the big desk. Look at CAPR go, bro. Look at this go.
That's a monster.
I love these small cap gappers, Joe. I think, Andre, you wanted a bull flag in the wild, right? Yeah. There's one right here, Andre. It's saying, hello, Andre. I'm a bull flag. I'm going to screen this for you. I'll screenshot for you and send it. Yeah, shout out to Andre. Obviously, he's a new production guy, killing it on the ones and twos. And he was asking me the other day, he's like, look, bro, it's nice that you put these explanations on, but we need things in the wild, baby. People want to see it in the wild. This is a bull flag, Joe. I like it. What are you looking at?
Yeah, no, I'm looking over at CCL. It broke my heart earlier today. We had some good entries, and we added looking for the continuation, and we decided to take a little off the top. But hey, it came back against us, and then decided to make the move that we were looking for. I want to emphasize on this, and I emphasized on it last week with my AMD trade, if everybody who remembers. I was looking for a specific setup and looking for momentum to continue to the downside on this trade. I did not get it. So what am I going to do? I'm going to cut the trade. I am not going to fight it. CCL raised guidance. They had a double beat. So why am I fighting a potentially strong stock? Once I realized, hey, the price doesn't want to move this way and it's strong, I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to flip my bias and I'm going to look for it to the long side. Unfortunately, CCL is a slow burner. It got me. I took a little off too soon, but hey, that's part of the game. We're ready. We're going to get prepared and we're going to look for what's coming up next. We don't want to complicate things. We're going to wait. We're going to wait for our setup to come up. We're going to see where we have edge, and we're going to take it from there. Sharif.
Bang. Guys, Papa Powell, Jerome Powell, Fed Chair President, or we're kidding, of course, when we call him that. He is speaking today at 1 o'clock, so very excited for that. Oftentimes, when he does drop lines, they are market-moving lines. So we'll see what he has to say about the state of inflation, the state of the job market, the Fed's thinking going forward, yada, yada, yada. You get the whole deal. So Jerome Powell today at 1 o'clock. Needless to say, we're going to be covering that for you right here live on How to Trade. Okay, so there is CAPR, and what you guys are looking at now are the side charts. These are the small cap gappers that I've loaded up today, including CCL, which is obviously not a small cap gapper, but is in play today. For what I see as a range, but I'll get to that in a second. UXIN. This was a holdover again from last week. As you can see, we were moving up a storm into Friday. It looks like this one really got its footing, I believe, on Thursday. A nice little pump up on Thursday. We continued the PAMP on Friday, and then the Monday PAMP continues as we knock on the door of that $8, 70.84 high. Keep your eye on UXIN. It is not technically a small cap gapper, about $404 million with a float of 0 shares, according to my platform. No, of course, it's not 0 shares, right? So we're going to keep an eye there. So the volume weighted average price been very respectful today. Or UXIN, excuse me, has been respectful of the volume weighted average price. The latest interaction there at around 5 to the hour, where we kind of double bottomed on the 5-minute chart, and then we made a new high of day. So this just made a new high about 10 minutes ago, so certainly in play. UXIN, Joe, absolutely in play. Let's talk about some others. There's not just one. Oh, Adara's got hotlines. Let's send it to her.
We do have some stocks to talk about here. Sorry about that, guys. We're going to look at some of these S&P 500 names making larger moves as of right now on the day as we head into, of course, that midday period. Moderna, one of these, a little bit removed from its highs, but trading higher on the day, generally up more than 2%, announcing that they did have its first participant dosed in this pretty key trial here for its norovirus vaccine. So some positive vaccine updates for mRNA. Next up here, we do have GM and a lot of these other auto-related names trading lower. in terms of sympathy with Stellantis. Stellantis did have this guidance decrease here for fiscal 2024, specifically with regards to its operating margins. Also here, we have Warner Brothers Discovery, WBD. This one basically at low of day right now. Late on Friday, we did have this report from the Wall Street Journal that Comcast, its Sky unit, is looking to sue Warner Brothers Discovery with regards to access to some of its Harry Potter shows. So interesting look here for WBD. We're going to keep having these updates throughout the day, guys.
If you're getting value from this, Joe, if you're getting value from the hot lines you dropped last week on options, if you got value from what Adara just brought to you, if you got value from the level 2, like and subscribe. It's the only way the channel grows.
That's all you got to do.
It's all you got to do. And everything we get back, we throw back into the show. That's really how it works. So if you got value from it, we'd really appreciate you like and subscribe.
Beautiful, beautiful.
What are you looking at, Joe?
I'm looking at TQQ kind of start to slowly run away with me here, but I'm going to join this trend. Hopefully we continue to the top side. We're going to look to join TQQ. This market can start roaring at any minute. So we're going to join this here. We don't have the exact entry that we like, but hey, that's okay. If it's really strong, we're going to get that continuation to the top side. So I'm looking at TQQ. And guys, if there's anything that you feel that you want to improve in on your trading, throw the questions in the chat. Sharif and I are going to do our best to answer them. He's dropping level 2 today, and we're doing other things, playbook. How do I journal? How do I do all these things? If you have any questions, say, hey, Joe, Sharif, I want to improve this. Suggestions, drop those questions in the chat, and we're going to answer them the best we can. We got a lot of option stuff coming up in the near future, too, so make sure you flood in those questions, all right? We want to answer them. We want you to be the best that you can possibly be and continue with trading. We all know that it's difficult. It's not the easiest thing, so throw those questions in there, and we're going to answer them the best we can, absolutely.
Absolutely, Joe. Guys, we didn't finish dropping hot lines about the small cap gappers. So UXIN, you got DUO, not Duolingo. This is a different one. This is another holdover from last week. By the way, anybody, or this is not a holdover from last week. What is this? Was this halted? Oh, it was halted. That's why I'm not getting data into Friday. Something's wrong there. I'm not sure. I'll have to look in a second. By the way, guys, if you guys want to see something that's up 100% in about 2 months, go and look at Duolingo stock. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. But anyway, I digress. DUO absolutely in play here. Just knocked on the door of 360, taking a bit of a dive now. Still playable under my system as it is trading above the volume weighted average price. That's around 253 there. So we'll see if it halts at these 2 support levels. I'm seeing a possible support level at 2 3/4, and then obviously the 2.5-ish where VWAP is. But look at this, 240-ish as well. You had some interactions there. We'll keep an eye on DUO. CAPR, the one that I was in, continues to rocket to the high side, now knocking the door of 1350. It's up 35%. Again, guys, this is a holdover, from last week. It doesn't matter whether or not, the catalyst is in play today. The technical break is there. The volume is there. The price action is there. So I needn't really look at the catalyst again. We know that it's from last week. ATGL just knocked on the door as well of 6 1/5, trying to hold above 6, well extended, as you can see, away from VWAP at 5 1/3. So this one absolutely in play. And Demonica, I saw you in the chat yelling about Astis. Absolutely, AS gang TS on the way up again, breaking through 27 right now, knocking the door of that $0.25. It's also up. Very good technical break through that 26.5, and then eventually really breaking through that 26.75. I pegged 26.5 as a real level, owing to the fact that all the closing prints are south of that $0.50. So I love the break there. So many small cap gappers we can trade today. I didn't even get through all of them, Joe, but I'm gonna have to send it to you.
Hey,
what are you looking at, homie?
I'm still looking at TQQs here, but we have a great question in the chat for you, Sharif. It was, Sharif, how do I hold on to my winners for longer?
Great question.
Great question. I'll touch on it first a little bit. So how do you hold on to your winners for longer? Well, one, that's going to come with conviction within your trade, right? If you're really confident and you have a large enough, and you've built a large enough sample set, then you should know, hey, I'm expecting X amount of move on this trade. Also, sizing helps a little bit. Obviously, with the more shares you have, the more you can hold on for those longer trending days, which is fine. But if you're dealing with small size and you need those larger moves, then you have to hold on to them from what your sample sets and what data you've collected.
Thanks.
So to hold on to those winners longer, have strong conviction within your system and within your setup. The better your entry, the better you'll be able to hold on to those winners for longer. So as you can see, I am looking at TQQs.
Oh no, Adara, I'm
Oh,
sorry. Yeah.
ooh, the TQQs. Do we go higher? We have Tesla moving into the top side, and we have NVIDIA doing, I'm not too sure right now, but the Qs are strong. SPY's kind of chopping around a little bit, so we do have some potential to move more to the top side, which is great, and that's exactly what we're looking for here. Sharif.
We got to send it to Adara. What do you got for us, Adara?
We do have IGC. We talked about some of these other small caps or names in the marijuana space here, including CGC, but IGC, one of the latest runners here, gaining volume. This is a penny stock. We found the catalyst here with regards to this move. We have Marijuana Moment reporting that Kamala Harris made some comments with regards to the legalization of marijuana on this All That Smoke podcast, saying that, quote, we need to legalize marijuana. So some updates here with regards to support for marijuana legalization from one of the presidential candidates here, guys. So keep an eye on these names with regards to that piece of news.
I just stumbled onto like a fantastic segment name. The Marijuana Moment.
The Marijuana Moment.
I don't know. I looked over at the Katina, man. I'm like, yo, this is fantastic. Shout out to Adara, man. Jay Lee. What's up, Jay? Joseph. Sharif. Take a look at IFRA for a longer-term play. Strength from Helene. Is that how you say the Helene? Is that what they're saying? Helene, storm damage. Thoughts, please. Yes, sir.
All right.
IFRA. I'm going to load that up for you in a hot second over here. Mr. Jay Lee, one of the OGs there in the chat. IFRA. Here it is. All right, let's load. Oh, IFRA. This is this on the Mexican exchange? What is this, bro?
Infrastructure.
IFR. Oh, it's an ETF. That's why I didn't select the right one. There it is. Okay. Yes. I like that. Let's go to the daily. Let's get the look on the daily here. What a rocket ship is this, Jay Lee? Excellent technical break through 40. Excellent technical break. Look at that. March 2022 to March 2024, a 2-year consolidation top, Joe, at 40 bucks gets taken. Thank you for this, Jay. Did not have eyes on this. Fantastic good look on this ETF. I don't even know anything about the infrastructure play or anything like that. But Joe, the technical break is real.
Hey, it's real, and it's a strong ETF. It looks like it's trending up. That's what we want. So again, if you're in this stock, then that's great. There's no need to go back onto holding your winners for longer. If this thing's in it, if you're in it and this thing's working, keep holding. Maybe look to take a little profits off, and that's it. But other than that, don't fight it. Keep holding your position, and we got the TQQs starting to buzz here.
Yes,
I'm going to hold on to this position a little bit longer, and hopefully we get that topside break. If we're going anywhere, maybe I'll look for the break of high day. I'll hold some, take some profits off in between, but anytime that we see that the semis are strong, Tesla's pulling back into VWAP, and I'm in TQQs, NVIDIA's ripping to the top side. So when NVIDIA's ripping and you have all these other things in conjunction, I'm going to hold on to my position. And Dad Trader, that is how you hold on to these winners for longer.
I love it, man. You're getting some options questions. Rick, he tagged me and you, but it's really for you. Okay. For 30-day put options, what's the best play? I always have a hard time understanding time decay. I know you touched upon this with the Greeks and stuff like that, but we could drop a quick hotline.
Yeah. So 30 days, what was it, Greg his name was?
Rick. Yeah.
That depends what strategy you're employing. If you're selling premium 30 days, from a time perspective, you're looking for in 30 days for the contract value to decay, to slowly diminish. So you're locking in profits day by theta, all right? Or extrinsic value. We'll stop there. But if you're employing long positions, beware of theta, because if your underlying asset isn't moving in your direction large enough, time decay is going to chew up the value of your contract. So you can be like, oh, my contract's in the money and it's going higher, but why aren't I making any money? Well, because it's not moving enough and time decay is chewing up the value of that contract. So hopefully that answered your options question.
Man, that's fantastic. Jay Lee, my thoughts are the government is going to dump billions into bridge and infrastructure repair. IFRA should be the beneficiary, in my humble opinion. Don't disagree with you, Jay. Just wondering if the government's tapped out a little bit for the time being. They always seem to find money somewhere, though, right? You can always sell more treasuries, no big deal. There's always more people to buy. Japan, Saudi, China, who knows who'll be buying tomorrow. In any event, I'm long CGC 5. Reason I'm long here, Fabian, is because it's at the volume-weighted average price, and it is also that $5 area. I see a bit of a retracement. You could make an argument that there's a head and shoulders pattern on the 1 minute. Again, the lower down on the time frame you go, even though all the patterns are fractal, the higher the failure rate. So I'm looking at DCA plan dollar cost average to defend this 485, 490 level. Look at the consolidation area, or not consolidation area, I should say, area crest we had over here. We'll see if we can work our way maybe back into 515, 512, but I'm going to add at 495, 490 with my ultimate out through the break of 480. So we'll give CGC the old college try. In case you're wondering what's going on, shares of cannabis stocks are trading higher following a report suggesting that Vice President Kamala Harris wants to legalize marijuana. It is nothing new. Who remembers her debate with Mike Pence? What was it, 4 years ago now? Remember that Pence debate, and we got the weed pump after that. And so, yeah, we'll see. I think this is one of the positions she's being quite consistent on, and you can't say that about all her positions. So we'll keep an eye on, see if we can get a nice little bump up. We're already a couple of pennies, whole pennies in the money here, Joe.
Let's go. Let's go.
Being a joke, obviously. So keep an eye on Jay Lee. Goes on to say, for what it's worth, I was buying up CGC last week at 450, expecting this move eventually. Jay, you're not wrong, bro. We're going to get that federal legalization likely in the south of the border at some point or another. It really is about when and who does it. So we'll wait and see and what kind of dynamics it has. Maybe one of those issues that they throw to the state. Maybe they do federal legalization. Right now, it's still being kind of done at the state level. Federal government trying to keep their hands out of the whole thing.
That's it. I don't think they want any part of that really right now. As of right now, anyways, until the money starts really flowing in. So you got state by state. I think New York, Florida, all these other states. Colorado probably I think was the first one. The first one. So once the Fed starts seeing all this money come in, then who knows? Maybe on a federal level they'll legalize it, and that'll be great for all the marijuana stocks. But just to pull up my TQQs here, we got exactly what we were looking for. We got the break to the top side. NVIDIA was trading higher, so we took it off. This is TQQs. It is a leveraged derivative of the Qs. So 3 times 1% move, you get a 3% move in TQQ. So when we add these shares up and we take it off the top, we're looking for the continuation, and we like it here. We get stopped out break even because we don't want winning trades to become losers, all right? So we're out of the TQQs there. And just to show out some love in the chat, thanks, guys. Again, options questions, throw them my way. Level 2 questions, throw them Sharif's way. Just
you got
anything,
it too, homie.
Anything. Just if you want to, just really one thing. If what you want to improve on your trading, send it our way, and we're going to do our best to answer those questions, as I said before. So keep plucking away, keep taking those trades, start building your sample sets, and collect that data, and then eventually you're going to build a nice, solid system.
All right, let's have a look at what else is moving up here. Yeah, we're still flat on CGC, nothing doing there. Keeping my eye, though, on CAPR. I'd like to be able to get another test of this one. So this one, you know, we didn't have enough shares, obviously, going through, and it's still skyrocketing and bull flagging again, mind you. Continuation play. So look at this big move. There is your secondary pull, and now we're kind of doing the pennant, the flag again. And this is the 1 minute in case you're looking. So continuity on CAPR, man, this is a respectable move, Joe.
That's a monstrous move. Monstrous move.
It's not a bad look.
It's a great look. We got the Qs coming in, pulling in a little bit. We got Tesla. Didn't quite breach VWAP, which is absolutely fine. There is a little weakness in the market. Again, we're really strong. The Qs are lagging the SPY a little bit from a daily perspective. And we'll take a look at the SPY right now and just see where we are at from a daily perspective and why it's so strong. We got the financials really leading the Qs and the energy sector. They're really strong. So as you can see, we got all-time highs here on the Qs. And unfortunately, on the SPY, and the Qs are lagging. Tech is not as strong, even though it may seem relatively strong. It's not as strong as some of those other sector ETFs that we have out there. But don't sleep on them. NVIDIA can catch fire at any minute, and from a day-to-day basis, it does. The semis can catch fire at any minute. You have Google, Apple, and Tesla, all these amazingly strong companies. So don't sleep on the Qs just because they're lagging a little bit behind the SPY. And a matter of fact, it may be a good time to buy. We'll wait for the election. If we get any more of a pullback, maybe we'll look to open up some more position on the Qs. But as of now, we got the Qs pulling in a little bit, IBIT, Bitcoin chopping around a little bit, IBIT around 36.27. So nothing crazy going on over there. NVIDIA, I'm going to pull up NVIDIA here because I want to display this failed higher day break, which is fine. Maybe we pull back, we grab a little more liquidity, and then we head to the top side. We took our trades on NVIDIA. Unfortunately, we didn't get the meat of the move here, but we like this first entry that we have. It's part of our playbook. It's what we're looking for. We didn't sway from our playbook. See, and this is where your RVR and entries really come into play, all right? So if I had slightly a bit better of an entry, I would have been able to hold on to my runner a little bit longer, opposed to having to stop out break even. So entries are key. That's how you continue to refine your system. You want to get better and better. You want your entries to be precise, and that way you have definitive outs, all right? Sharif, me, Sean, Neil, we all know where we're going to get out of the stock before we even enter it. So make sure you have that in plan. Make sure you have your game plan. If this happens, then I'm going to do that. If that happens, then I do this. And that's how you build consistency in a system within trading, Sharif.
You got some love here from one of the OGs in the chat, Zion Lala. Joseph.
Yes, sir.
Do you do a lot of wheel strategy on options?
I do not do wheeled strategies. I would classify myself as a credit spread trader. I love selling premiums. It's my thing. And that's one thing that we're going to touch on with options. It's such a diverse vehicle. There's so many different strategies. And when we go through all of them, you have to find what really works for you. There's a countless. We're going to go from beginner to immediate to advanced. And you're going to find something that suits you and suits your personality. And what that was for me was credit spreads. Ooh. I love them. It really suited my personality. It fit my risk tolerance. And it just suited me. So that's why I stuck with it. When you feel that it's a natural fit, you continue to go with those things, all right? And when we go over just the grades of strategies, hopefully you're going to find your niche as well, too.
Fantastic, man. I know you had strong opinions about that because the dude that we went and watched, he was doing that wheel strategy. I know you had some.
Absolutely. It's great. It's great strategy, but it is a little more capital requirement. That's for.
I remember you saying that too, specifically.
Compared to some other option strategies. So yeah, that's great. Keep throwing your options questions in the chat. We're gonna answer them all day.
Absolutely.
We're learning about level 2 today as well, and we're watching these overall markets. So it's gonna be actually a banger of a midday show.
No question about it, Joe. Here comes CGC into my possible dollar cost average into 495. Again, there seems to be a buyer at 95 because the second time we've been down there, second time I haven't got filled. So it's got to cross 95s for me to get printed back up into 98s. I like this general area at the volume weighted average price. I am cognizant of a possible flat bottom break, but there does seem to be a bit of a catalyst today. And when weed runs, it usually runs for a hot minute. So we'll wait, we'll watch, we'll see exactly what we get, and we won't get upset. Now, we didn't look too much at the large caps today. Joe was dropping hot lines about the future, but let's look at which large caps, or sorry, not large caps, Mag 7 names are outperforming and which ones are lagging. Right from the jump, I can tell you, without even looking at percentage, Amazon looks awfully weak. We have that continuation pattern that takes us from Thursday. We were zigging, we weren't zigging, we were consolidated. We were all talking about that Bezos shelf possibly coming in, that 200 shelf. Why? Because we were knocking the door of 195, so we're $5 measly away. Now we're 15 measly dollars away because we're down below 185. AMZN weak today, weak Friday, and it's been very respectful right now of the 10 and the 20 moving averages on its way down. The shallow retracements have rejected off the green solid line, which is the 10 exponential moving average, and then as you can see here, the more deeper retracement popped up into the 20 and then also found a brick wall or whatever kind of Amazonian wall that prevented it from going there. Oh, baby. Okay,
Let's go.
so I got to tell you guys something. Forget about my analysis there of Amazon. We have a new segment with Adara, and it is called the earnings segment. Kill it, Adara.
Let's go.
We're going to take a look at some earnings names, either names that reported this morning or the evening prior that are having day one moves, or names that are set to report this evening. Of course, today, really the only earnings name to talk about is going to be Carnival Cruise Line, CCL. Right now, in a bit of a range with some support around that 1780, 1790 area. They did beat across the board for earnings per share and sales. They also announced 17% increases for both their new to cruise segment, and they're also seeing a 17% increase in their dry dock days for fiscal 2025. They've raised their fiscal 2024 guidance for the third time this year, but it is worth noting they actually had slightly lower than expected EPS guidance for Q4 2024. They're guiding earnings of 5 cents per share. Analysts were looking for $1.16 per share. Their EBITDA guidance for Q4 was up 20% year over year. So mixed look here for CCL, and the stock not really sure to react to these results. Bit of chop and churn. In terms of names on watch, tomorrow morning is a couple names of note here as we start the month of October and the fourth quarter of the year. Paychex and McCormick reporting before the bell. The biggest name tomorrow, though, is going to be Nike reporting after close tomorrow, guys.
Huge.
Great stuff. Well, great
Huge.
stuff. They got the new CEO coming in. So I was going to ask you this, Sharif. What do you think about Nike? What do you think about Nike as a brand and everything and where it's headed?
Look, Joe, like the majority of my gym clothes are Nike. So quality-wise, I like them. They last for years and years and years. They're comfortable, this, that, and the other. Shout out to the Chile Nightmare. I think he feels the same way. The issue is, though, bro, it's not about what I like. It's about what everybody else likes. And they seem to have lost their way a bit. A couple of reasons. One, they're not focusing kind of on that innovation. Like, you should have seen this letter from the executive team in the 70s. It was basically to be everything everyone else is not. And they've fallen out their way. They are they're the mainstream now. So that's number one. Number two, their CEO, the outgoing CEO who left, had a different strategy. He wanted to do direct to consumer. He wanted to get Foot Locker out of the way. Dick's Sporting Goods, Sports Check here for us in Canada. He wanted that direct to consumer love so he could realize on all the margins. Whether that was online sales or through their Nike stores in retail, he didn't want people taking off the top, off his margins. Now, all of a sudden, they're backtracking after only a couple of years of that. So it's like a wishy-washy. Which way are we going?
Which way are we going? And again, to add on to that, Sharif, I think it's also a marketing thing. There's so much ways to market to consumers. We have Instagram, we have TikTok, we have all these other ways that we can market. And with that comes competition. And with Nike, we have competition like with Gymshark, and we have Adidas and all these things that have the ability to market through these apps, and it's taking away a little bit of market share away from Nike. So
I agree completely with that. I mean, it can't be just one reason, right?
Nope.
So that's the look there. So let's just drop some more hot lines here about the mega cap look on the day. So we're talking about how Amazon, Fabian, was the weakest of the bunch so far. Very respectful of the 10 and the 20. Kind of the opposite is true for the Zuck train. Look at this. Right up through that 574, breaching both, what are they called? Resistance levels on the pivots. You get that 570 break. You get that 573.5 break, and then you have essentially what is a 574 high at day. But look where we're trading. We're right at that 10 exponential, and we've been holding up there for the last couple of candles. Now, there is also this area high, the implied balance high. Shout out to Dan, the dang man Emmons, 570.5. Generally, this one's holding 571. So META, also very strong on the day. It's up 0.75%. But look, the number one winner percentage-wise on the day is the dead one Apple. It's up almost 2%. It's close to highs. I don't know why this is moving. I'm assuming it has to do with China and maybe the lack of weakness and the more stimulus that's coming into China. It's their second biggest market, so it does make sense. Guys, we are almost at all-time highs on the dead one. 237. That was a flash high. If we close at 232, I think this might be one of the the highest areas we've ever closed. Let me just double check to make sure I'm accurate on that. The closing print here, no, that's incorrect. On the 16th of July, we did close at 234, and then the subsequent day, we gave that up pretty quickly, closing below 230. So we'll see how long, if we can, number one, close above 230, and if we can we sustainably close above 230, or is it going to be like this day here on July 16th, where we only close one day, and then wham, bam, thank you, 230, and then down again. So I'm going to be looking at that, Joe.
Yeah, beautiful. I love what Tree's talking about on Apple. We like Apple here. It's absolutely strong stock, especially with the iPhone 16 coming out now. So our guy Danny Ives over at Woodbush, he says super cycle and upgrade. So again, we were talking about it before. I have an old iPhone. I like the cues here. I'm going to punch in some long cues because this is my entry. And what we do is you got to execute, right? When your system shows up, when your trade shows up, you have to take the entry. Whether it works out or not, only the market knows. But what we're going to do is we're going to follow the strength. We're in a strong market. And as you can see, we're starting to pump up to the top side. We have somewhat of an imbalance on the level 2. Even though you want to use the Qs as a reference, we're still going to use the TQQs as a reference on the order book. So as you can see, we have a bullish ask. We have larger orders stacking up on the ask than what we do on the bid. This is what we would like to call a ladder to the top side. So if we continue to move to the top side, I'm going to join it. If not, I have a definitive out. I know where I'm wrong. If we break this pivot low here, I'm out of the trade, and that's that. We already got a scalp on TQQ. That's great. So let's try it again. If it works one time, we're going to try it again. We're going to try it another time. And as you can see, we're moving. We have NVIDIA strong. We have the semis strong. Everything is strong. So we want to join the strength. Don't fight the strength. And you'll hear me say it over and over again like a broken record. But that's the success to trading, I think. Keep things simple and just don't fight the market because they will win 1,000 times out of 1,000 times, unfortunately. So just follow a little momentum. Throw your questions in the chat. What do you want to improve on your trading this week? What is one thing that you really want to emphasize on? And then Sharif and I are going to answer those.
Absolutely. Shout out to Darwin. I don't know why did you get the 2 pumps thing in your head, Darwin? Shout out to you. It always makes me chuckle though, bro, when you remember that, because like I think you're one of the only people who remembers that. But hey, man, it makes me chuckle. So shout out to the OG Darwin, man. Guys, thank you for Dara for bringing us ASTS. Demonica, I see you, girl, because this thing is holding up right at that 26.5. So let's see if it can continue to do that, though. Let's put it up on the side chart over here because for whatever reason, it's not loading. So ASTS, there it is, 26 2/3. It holds up for now, underline that, for now at that 26.5, owing to that area crest basically shadow the closing prints there. I don't want to jump into this one too quickly, and it's awfully spready as well. So I'm going to keep my eye on ASTS, no question. TOUR at $1.35. Why is that interesting to me? Well, that's the volume weighted average price. Well, has TOUR respected VWAP on the day? And my answer to you is yes. 1020, 1025. 1030, all were 5-minute candles that found their base at the volume weighted average price. In addition to that, that 930 open generally held up at that volume weighted average price as well. And there it is again. Here's a different look though. We're not bouncing off VWAP in the same way we were doing it before. Now we're kind of hanging out at VWAP, which is okay. We're in a lower volume time of the day. The retracements off support don't have to come quick as you like. They end up usually manifesting into something like this. Now you're going to say to me, Sharif, how do I know that this is actually going to bounce off VWAP rather than being a flat bottom break? Well, your guess is as good as mine, my friend. We can only put the odds in our favor, and I would say to you, the odds are somewhat in our favor if this small cap is trading above VWAP. Usually there's a reason it's trading above VWAP, and as I say that, it takes a little bit of a dip, but we'll have to wait and see how this one ends up manifesting. Shout out to Demonica, man, $3 super chat. Well, thank you. Fist bump to you. We love it. Well, I love the fact that you like these small caps. Keep bringing them in the chat. And if I don't have my eye on them, tag me so that I can, because I want to trade them too. Joe.
Beautiful, beautiful. So as you can see, this Qs trade is absolutely roaring to the top side. Why? Because NVIDIA is moving, AMD is moving, Tesla's moving back towards VWAP. So we're going to join the strength. We can't be in all those names, but we can be in the Qs. And we're going to join the trend. We're going to join the strength through the Qs. As you can see, I'm going to pull up my NVIDIA chart quickly. And what almost alarmed me was this. we had a potential double top. As you can see, on this move higher, we failed to break the highs, and we rejected fairly quickly. But the strength jumped back in, and you can see the diverging volume on these two specific pullback candles. We're going to correlate these two candles with our volume, and this is diverging volume. So as you can see, the price is declining as well as the volume. This can tell you that we are in a potential pullback, that the pullback is not overly strong, and that we can continue to the top side. Now back to why I'm in the Qs. So we've seen that on NVIDIA.
Great trade, Joe.
Great trade. We're liking it. We're loving it. We're still holding it. And what we're going to do is we're going to play the break of this pivot high. If we don't get that, that's fine. Then we'll take some off. But what the tape is telling me and what the overall market is telling me, back to Dad Trader, is this is how we hold on to our winners for longer. You're not always going to get the move what you want. You have to take what the market gives you. But when you have all these forms of conviction, this is how you hold on to these winners and make them a little bit larger.
Well said, dude. Well said, man. And by having a plan, I think it takes away that emotional side of it, right?
Absolutely.
Couldn't agree more. Shout out to Joe, man. Guys, things are moving here, baby. Things are moving. Meta's headed to the top side. Joe was talking about the Qs trade, and there's a reason the Qs are staying up. The Qs are only made of their components. They're only as good as their components, baby. And if the components ain't moving up, the Qs won't be moving up. So some of the larger weighted components today, I'm talking about our Apples, I'm talking about our NVIDIAs. Sure, NVIDIA's still down, but look at that pattern. Look at that chart pattern since the opening print. It is bullish. It is trading above VWAP. It's very close to the high of the day. So even though it's half a point down, yada, 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 we know about the headline with Huawei and, ByteDance trying to do their thing with them. We'll see if that has some sort of disruptive effect on the GPUs on this side of the ocean, but I need to see more from there. Like, I never want to discount the Chinese being able to duplicate some of this technology, bro. They did it with the 5G chips. Joe, everyone said they wouldn't be able to produce these 5G chips that they put in the Mate Pro 50. Somehow they did it.
They did it.
Right? So you never want to count out the Chinese. They always seem to maneuver.
No, and I heard you speaking earlier, and I read the article too, is that Huawei is using, or ByteDance is going to be using Huawei's chips.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know how good that's going to be for America. They're probably not going to like it anymore.
Probably not.
Make it a little more controversial, why don't you? But hey, that's okay. They're going to do what they want to do. So again, we're here in TQQs. We're watching this overall market. It's not the cleanest price action, and that's okay. We expect that. We have some big events coming up soon, right? We got the election looming. We have JP at 2 today. I'm at 1, correction. JP at 1. I'm not too sure what he's going to be talking about, but anytime he speaks, you want to keep your eyes in on the market.
He's calling.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, Joe.
Hello.
I love how you get quirky with it
Jerome,
right away, bro.
So yeah, he doesn't want to talk to me. He did so. But that's all right. We got, and as you can see, hold on, I'm going to take a couple steps back. NVIDIA failed to break the highs. Okay, so that's okay. When you see that type of pullback and you want to see the continuation to the top side, I want to see the conviction in that break of high of day. We didn't see that. And that can kind of reflect on the price action for the day. There's no extremely clean PA. There's no definitive trend here. You can see these candles are overlapping, volume is dwindling, and that's okay. Because everybody is gearing up for 1 o'clock, it seems, Sharif.
Sounds good, man. You got some love here from Hal R in the chat. Sharif, please ask Joe how many stocks he keeps in a daily watch list. Thank you.
Oh, right here.
There it is. You got the paper, baby.
Katina, you got the paper. I'm no sticky note Katina man, but hey, I like to keep no more than 6 stocks, all right? I don't want too much things. I don't want to be scrambling around or anything like that. So if you can condense your daily watch list from 1 to 4 to 6 stocks, sometimes the less is better, right? Less is more at times. So again, 1 to 6 max, but really I only keep an eye on 3 or 4 stocks a day.
Willis Addison, wow, nice dump. PDD, my puts woke up. China trade, he's pumped about that. Let's have a look at Pinduoduo, or the company formerly known as Pinduoduo. I think they do want to be known now as PDD. So there is the look. Let's have a look at the 5-minute chart here. Yeah, shout out to Willis, man. Great trade, Great technical breakdown. Where's the closing print? The closing print's at 135. So now we're negatory on the day, Willis. So shout out to you. That was a big gap up. I was expecting, to fill the gap on some of these China trades. But the thing is, I thought, maybe we'd find some support at the Friday closing print. Doesn't look like it's going to do it, though. PDD, keep your eyes out on this one. Let me have a look at the other Chinese stocks. Are they all red? No. You've got the likes of Jinko Solar. Very strong right now. JKS could have a different reason other than the fact that it's Chinese. It's also a solar stock, and we know the solars have been rotating as a result of the rate cuts and the projected rate cuts. Why? Because they're rate dependent. Startup costs are high, and borrowing costs factor into margins, yada, yada, yada. So it's a good look there, 26.5 right now on JKS. But yeah, a lot of the Chinese names, and I want to show you this super quick. This column is percentage up on the day, and this column is percentage change since open. Only 3 stocks are green since open in Chinese ADR world, so that should give you an idea. Great call out, Willis. Thank you for that look. I'm still involved here in CG Dangxi. I'm break even exactly at this point at 496. This is going to have to weasel up above 5. If it gets to 5 and we hit a brick wall, I'm gone. I'll take the 4 pennies. Why? Because $5, I gauged it as an area of support. If we give up $5 and then use it as resistance, that ain't the trade that I want. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just on the lookout for it. We're in the money, 2 pennies, but it means nothing to me. I want a little bit of a move up, Joe.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, we have a great question from Nick V in the chat here. Do you see any big negatives in buying leaps on strong stocks and selling monthly covered calls? I love it, Nick V. That is great. I am a big promoter of leaps. Leaps are great. And in future options presentations, we're going to compare what buying a leap is, capital requirements, opposed to just buying flat out stocks. So that's a great question. And you can sell covered calls. And I like how you added that part in there, because even though you're in a long position, you can still profit by using premium. You can lock in monthly, weekly gains by selling covered calls against those leaps positions. Strong stocks, absolutely. I'm a yes. Keep doing what you're doing, Nick V. That's a great question.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, we got up to 5 as anticipated on CGC, and then I saw a wall of selling, so much so that it pushed this down from 5 into 496 quick as you like, and there was all sorts of blue. Blue, again, if you're just joining the show, on my level, on my time in sales, excuse me, not this over here, but this, as you can see, blue. Blue means below the bid, meaning that sellers were so exuberant to get the hell out of there, they were willing to pay below what the lowest bid was. So that will reflect on my chart in blue. The opposite is true when people pay above the ask. So right now, 496 is the ask. I'll see it depicted in orange. So then I'll be able to gauge market sentiment just simply by color, because sometimes you're not really always looking at the time in sales. You're looking at the chart, you're looking at the level 2, but when you see colors flash, I don't know if that's available on everybody's platform, but it is available on the world's best prop trading firm software, which is P-Pro 8. Shout out to Real Trading, baby. So that's the look there. Now, Joe, couple of updates with respect. Tesla's going, Katina Man? Oh, okay. Say it again. Tested as the best software, says the Katina Man. I thought I heard Tesla. Yeah, shout out to the Katina Man. Absolutely accurate there. Tesla's at VWAP since Neil. Speaking of Tesla. Thank you, Neil, for that. That's absolutely accurate. I'll just digress from my...
Speaking of the devil.
Yeah, exactly. From my small cap gapper chat in a second. So 2 things right now. VWAP and the closing print right now at Tesla at the exact same level. 260.50, Joe. You love when those two levels conflate, in this case, a resistance.
Absolutely. So as you can see, Tesla is absolutely rejecting VWAP here. And with that, we get a pull in the overall market, pull back in the overall market. I'm all out of my TQQ trade. We failed to break that pivot high. We're sticking to game plans. That's it. We didn't break that high. We took some off. We cut the trade at break even. That's what we do. We're not going to go we're not going to diverge from our trade. So shout out to JC in the chat for showing love. We like that. we're watching PDD slowly diminish. I mean, these ADRs have been absolutely extended to the top side.
Oh, yeah.
They've been gapping up day after day, especially after that China rate cut. So again, you can look for that fade. I remember somebody in the chat said, "Hey Joe, what do you think about PDD long?" I said, "Wait for it to pull in. Let it fill some of these gaps. Let it pull in. The RSI is probably through the roof on the thing. So just let it pull back. Let it calm down. Volatility is extremely peaked. If they're going to move higher, they will eventually, right? So pack your patience. Wait. Be patient. Don't hurry your horses or anything like that, because an entry will always show up. Don't let FOMO catch you or any of these types of things. You will get your entry. So don't chase PDD, don't chase these ADRs. Let them do what they're going to do, and then you're going to find a perfect entry for yourself. So as I'm looking over here in NVIDIA, I will pull up my NVIDIA chart here. Unfortunately, we didn't break this high. We're almost triple topped here on the 5-minute. Are we going to make another push? Let's see what the volume's looking like. And this is not breakout volume, in my opinion. Can it break? Of course it can. But when you want to see a breakout, you want to see the volume start to step in. Can it start to step in? Is it starting to step in? Absolutely. So if we're going to push through this 121 level, then we're going to see some volume step in, and buyers are going to keep pushing this price higher. It can totally break the top and go higher today. It was down 2% or so in the pre-market. Strong stock, down 2%. We're buyers. Sharif.
What I'm watching right now, Joe, is ATGL. It's absolutely pumping to the high side. Small cap gapper, be careful with this one. This is a spready one. It's knocking the door 7. It's up 55%. Put some respect on this one's name, man. What's the situation? $28 million market cap, 1.1 million shares. Look, the volume is starting to come in midday here. It's not at the highest point it's been at all day, but it is high for the midday right now. 4.2 million share float. Let's bring down trade ideas and shout out the NOS boss. 1.27% of that float is shorted, so not a whole lot to talk about there. Yeah.
Ooh. Hey.
Look, guys, we're going to have to stop talking for a hot second here, because number one, we're going to throw you to Adara, and then after Adara, there's a hot line dropper is going to come on. It's going to be Neil's lesson of the day. Get it, Adara.
We have both the Qs and the SPY more or less flat right now. We have the S&P 500 finding some decent support potentially, or sorry, the Qs finding some decent support potentially here at that 586.30 level. Bit of resistance earlier. This could be a bit of a happening now as of the midday session. So some things to look at heading into the rest of this afternoon. We do have potential dock worker strikes. This could be worth noting for a lot of these important supply chain related companies. Keep this on watch. This could have big implications. Potentially this strike could begin as of midnight tonight. So stay tuned for that. We also have comments from Fed Chair Jerome Powell. I'm seeing a couple different times for this. 1 p.m. I'm seeing from some sources, 1:55 p.m. I'm seeing from others. Either way, the event is set to begin at 12 p.m. Has not begun streaming yet, but I will keep you guys posted with updates whenever he's set to speak. We also do have, in terms of stocks on watch, some breaking news updates as we got into the midday. We do have CGC and some of these other cannabis-related stocks. Kamala Harris making some comments on a podcast that, quote, we need to legalize marijuana. So that's certainly something to note here with regards to positive comments in the marijuana space coming from the Democratic presidential nominee. We also have HES here, HES, on watch. This one around 10:45 today. We did have the FTC approving Chevron's plans to acquire the company for about $53 billion. Lots happening in this midday session, but right now we're going to hear from Neil.
Thank you very much, Adara. Welcome to the lesson of the day. Beware of the gap, obviously. No, look, one of the strongest things you can have is a stock gapping into a new price range. So you're breaking out of key levels, and you're just, it's so strong that you're essentially, you're going to have that big overnight move day after day. We saw that with the Chinese ADRs. And first things first, not all gaps are the same. I should get this out of the way. When we're talking about specifically dual listed in Chinese names as opposed to like your low float runner, and clearly there's an overnight session in Asia that can contribute to the gap up. Now, I don't want to get into that too much, although it does play a bit of a factor. But I think today would be a constructive one to go over how you can have a trap set up and why you need to get away from these at times. And it's going to seem relatively obvious with a few of these charts, but I have some examples that I hope are going to be not as obvious places that we could have pivoted over to as well. So NIO, along with Alibaba, any Chinese name you want to pull up, maybe some of the indices, has been on a bit of a run lately. It's been strong to the upside. If you zoom it out, I can go to a daily chart here and give you an idea of just how big the run has been since breaking out to 50, the 200. You get all that stimulus and all that good stuff. And it's been, like I said, an impressive run. The volume was big at the open. It certainly gave you lots of opportunities in the pre-market, ideally for some continuation trades. And this is always tricky when prices you like end up being good. In the pre-market, 730 was a level on the daily. 730 holds pre-market lows. 750 consolidates. 750 ends up breaking at 850. So I had levels that I wanted to play off of. The problem is, by the time you get to the open, it's just all profit taking. You're going to see here that I liked it 3 times on NEO. It did bounce off 50 to get 60s, but then immediately fails into the pre-market low. And I think a lot of times when you're getting the test of a gap fill, I didn't err on the side of caution in this particular case and wait for the bounce off the low. It's one thing to take a higher low early because you've got some leeway where you can negotiate the trade. But a lot of times, if it's pulling back, if you've already gapped up, and this was 19% up, I think, overall at one point, when you've already gapped up a very large amount, and it's been on a multi-day rally, there will be profit takers that are swing trading it, and especially at the open when you get that extra push, there's going to be some profit takers. So I think when you get to the actual big support level like the 730, it's even more important not to even be nibbling out in front, because you can see the difference between if I had gotten this trade here, maybe you still get stopped out, but I think you have a much better chance of getting holding on to the trade once it's made that low on the original test. Once it's made that low, it never retakes it. Yes, 730 breaks, but it makes a low underneath it at 25, and that never loses. VWAP ends up not being very good, but this is where you have to get away from it. Because when you look at the gap in a situation like this, some people like to say all gaps get filled. I'm not really one of those believers in that, although oftentimes you will see something like it. When you get a big runner and profit taking comes in, you can set up a huge trend. And I'm reminded of something I say very often when it comes to false breaks or V-shaped recoveries or whatever they might be. When you break out a monster level and then that level is rejected, which is the point at which I got away from it, that level is rejected, you essentially just have the same resistance level that was there before and all just a heartbeat above it. Just a heartbeat above it, which is a false break on the higher time frame. And then there is your lower high at 750. Now, it's easy enough in hindsight to say I would look for a short there, but I wasn't looking for a short. However, there are times when you can find a gap fill or this similar setup and actually like a bit of a shorting opportunity when you get a bit of a gap that it tries to fill in. Now, whether it's a false breakout or something along those lines, you look over at something like a Tesla, which has done this story certainly before, right? Now, Tesla, and this was a couple of days ago, it's not the best example today, but Tesla did the similar gap above a big resistance level. And then you looked at it, and it pulled right into the high, consolidated. When it broke it for good, easy short. Now, here's where you can at least have a good reason to be looking for that continuation short. I get it, the Chinese ADRs were all strong. But Tesla, on the other hand, when it made that move, you zoom it out a little bit, you're able to find, hey, it's gapping into overhead resistance. This is a spot where it's a lot easier to have looked at this, a Tesla last week when it made that move and say, okay, yeah, it's strong, it's gapping above, but overhead resistance on that daily's in the mid 260s. Well, when it fails underneath that, you should be looking for that trend short type of opportunity. So there's an opportunity here in something like a Tesla. Today, you're basically just looking to short the same levels on resistance. But when it made that gap above a resistance level, and we had talked about that breakout and liking it, I remember we were sitting there on the 25th like, oh, is it going to break out above 57? It never did. You gap above it into overhead resistance, and your short entries, you can be short over if you want, but I think it's when it falls underneath and then you're shorting back into resistance on Tesla that same day. There was an example today where you could have taken advantage of a gap fill for a retracement in another vein. In this particular case, GM, Ford, some of the EV names, or some of the auto names down because Stellantis was down 13%. So they're all gapping down for that reason. Now, I was giving you examples of gap ups and reversion where you couldn't take the trade that you wanted because the longs weren't any good. But here's an example of what to look for if you have a big gap down. However, it still can set up as a good short for you if it tries to break out the high. Now, here's where it gets a little bit nuanced on GM. You can favor the short because it's relatively weak. But this one's set up in multiple ways why it was a good pop-in fade, despite the fact that it tried to break back out and do that reversal. A couple of things. Your trend down on the daily chart. You just recently broke a pretty obvious 50-period support level of 46, and then a previous bottom at 45. So you had like the gap down from here to there, but then even here to there was another gap for your retrace. So is there a setup that if this breaks out the high and looks bullish, you still like the short? The answer is yes, right back into those previous closes. And if you look at GM, you're closing here at 45, like 80 or so. Doesn't really matter exactly. You're closing right here at about 45.80. So what's lining up? Then the next day you're holding above that. What's lining up is a clear level that if it tries to fill in the gap, that you say the move is short. I like it back into that key price level, 45.80. So it didn't really set up that way on NEO. I didn't see Alibaba necessarily setting up that way for any kind of long ideas once it had lost that bid. But with GM specifically, when that gap down and broke out that high, all you had to do was be patient. Wait for the next key level to come in. And what it looks like here is right at the open, where does it wick? Everyone always asks, well, how do you get top wick on a move like that? Well, simply, if it goes into an obvious area on the chart, then if you're looking at that stock, you want to be ready for it. I mean, the stock closed 2 days in a row pretty much at the same price. Closing prices matter. So when it starts filling in just this minor gap, you got two close prices a whole day above it, and then there is your wick. Now, obviously, you can short lower highs. I tried one myself well underneath VWAP because I think the trend is to the downside. The good news about gaps is they provide you with ample opportunity for trade because it means the stock's in play, it means the stock's moving, it means you want to be looking at it. But like with NIO or maybe Alibaba or the Chinese names, you had to know when to get out of Dodge. And it's not as easy of a reverse unless you were looking to do it in the first place. But in the case of Tesla a couple of days ago, you had overhead resistance on the daily. So when it tried to hold the gap above, once it didn't, there's an easy trend to be followed. And then lastly, with General Motors here, when it tried to fill in the gap back to the upside, you remember the initial move was short, and you've got an obvious retracement level because you just zoomed it out. If it's going to try and go step up, find that first step if you still like the short, and wait for it to get there. That's the key. Wait for it to get there. It gave you the perfect entry point, pretty much where you wanted it. There's your wick above, your 80 is your resistance, and then just trend underneath. You could have taken a second shot at it. So we want to take advantage of gappers because they are obviously an indication that the market is moving or that stock is moving, but you got to know when to get away from it if it either loses the bid or the offer, and know which ones are still setting up with key levels for you to be able to play. So it was a bad one for me today on NEO. Probably if we were looking closer at GM, we could have found ourselves into that. We can't complain because there were plenty of other good shorts out there. But good luck with your trading and be mindful of the gaps.
Bang. That's some serious stuff. So serious stuff. I won't say it was hot lines, but it was serious stuff.
Hot fire.
Hot fire. Thank you. Yes, the hot fire drop right there. I think I can get away with that. Shout out to Neil. Thank you very much, Neil. Eloquent, awesome, and just all around informative as always, guys. So I'm short Amazon at this level over here to try to take advantage of some possible weakness. It just got into the volume weighted average price. I saw a topping tail candle on the NQ. I'll let Joe drop hot lines about that, but because he's been trading the triple Qs. So I'm giving this the old college try. on AMZN. We're going to give this one a shot. I'm also, and I have been nursing CGC. I'm break even on it right now. I don't necessarily like this consolidation that it's been putting for the better part of, let's say, almost half an hour now, below VWAP. It's also below 5. So I'm unsure about this trade. I have my stop in place. I have my profit takers in place. There's nothing for me to do on this trade aside from just either getting stopped out or printing on it. So we're going to give this one a try. Amazon's going against me right now. It is coming into my stop. My stop is above the $0.25. The future's on the way up. I likely will get stopped out here. So I misread this. Look, those topping tail candles absolutely eating my orders alive right now as we break up above the volume weighted average price on AMZN. So I'm 20 pennies out of the money on this trade. I have to be careful, but I like this area on Amazon. So if I don't get pushed out of the trade, I'm going to try and stay in it for as long as I can because of this weakness, relative weakness today on AMZN as opposed to some of these other Mag 7 names. Yep. We get stopped out, we get stopped out.
Hey, you get stopped out, you get stopped out. It's part of the game, and the quicker you can accept that, the better you're going to be off as a trader, absolutely. So we're here in NVIDIA. We're looking to continue the trend here. We have a couple failed high breaks. What I'm kind of doing here is I'm anticipating, I'm not necessarily participating, right? I'm looking for the high a day break here. One thing that's a little alarming to me, and one thing is when you're looking at your trades and say, why isn't it working? Look at one of the most important indicators on the planet, volume. I'm not getting that volume influx that I would like to see. As you can see, each individual signature is kind of dwindling. It is lunchtime. Wall Street's out to lunch. So we're dwindling, and for me to get that upthrust in momentum, we're going to need buyers to step in. We need that volume to come. It can break, but from a momentum standpoint, 12 o'clock hour, unless we get some serious news dropping, is a little bit more of a slow of a burner. We know where we're getting out of this trade. It's starting to work. But if we break 120.60s, we're out of the trade. We're not going to hold on to these losers, but we're going to wait for this high a day break on NVIDIA because it is working. We have AMD moving to the top side. So there's some top semis are strong. Apple is failing to break a new high as well too, but it's holding on strong. So we're going to hold on to this NVIDIA trade. We're going to see what the Qs are up to, and they continue to storm to the top side. So we're here involved with this strength. We know where we're going to get out of this trade. We're looking for all our conviction on all levels. We got our volume indicator. We're looking at the L2 and the time and sales. So if we get any type of volume to step in here, we really like this high day break here on NVIDIA. Shreve.
Duo's moving back up, says Timothy Webb, and he could not be more accurate. Beautiful hold of the volume weighted average price by DUO. This is not Duo lingo, guys. It's a different, it's called Fanged Network Group. It's what do they do? Provide solutions for real estate brokers through online real estate trading platforms. It's a SaaS, software as a service. Okay, cool. $3.60 HOD comes into that. We're to dip into 260. It looks like holds VWAP by a penny. Doesn't quite make it down to VWAP, but this is a VWAP retracements for all intents and purposes. But $3 now having issues with that level. And unsurprising, small cap gapper, having trouble at the whole dollar level, yada, yada, yada. I do like the increase in volume though. So look at how we cut a volume trough over here to coincide with the price action trough. Joe brought in a really good point earlier when he was talking about volume price action divergence. Where have you heard that before? We talk about RSI divergence, our MACD divergence, all the different indicators. Volume is one of those as well. So absolutely astute point there by Joe. Shout out to him. We just broke through 3. We got into like 303 or whatever, but you could tell there's a wall of sellers that came in there at $3. Unsurprised by that, quite frankly. We're going to keep an eye on this one, but it's all eyes on AT dang GL breaking into 7 2/3 right now at the 7.5, Katina, man. It's a big boy mover, well extended away from the 10 moving average on the 5. And if you watch me trade small cap gappers before, I use the 10 exponential on the 5-minute chart as an informal gauge of overbought conditions. I don't use it for oversold because I don't short these small cap gappers. What do I mean by that? When the price action really gets away And I'm talking about space, price action, away from the 10 exponential, I look for it to revert a little bit. Same case in point over here. Look how far away it got from the 10 exponential. We get a nice 3-5 minute candle retracement. We get a lot closer. In fact, we do touch the 10 exponential on these 4 candles over here, excuse me. But then we're respectful of it as an area of support, and then we rock it back up again. In my humble estimation, we are too extended away from the 10 exponential here. I want it to reset, kind of its footing, and then we'll look to get back into this one. That's if it still has the momentum, right? It's a big if there. So keeping my eye on ATGL, it's a beautiful look on the day. CAPR, we were involved in this bad boy earlier. Look at this gnarly rounding top. It's breaching the 10. It's on the way to the 20. How do I want to trade this? I want to trade this at 13 to 12 3/4. Why? You have this gnarly, beautiful, well, it's not beautiful, but it's an established range, with the top being at 12.75, most of the closing prints at 12.5. But look where the volume weighted average price is. It's at 12.75. So I'd rather play VWAP and the top end of the range together to kind of coincide as a support level rather than guess that this is going to hold up at the 20 exponential. I don't want to guess on this one. It's just too wild. So beautiful look today on CAPR. Again, I want to remind you, it's a holdover from last week. It's a big boy mover. You need only look at the daily chart on this to know that it's a big boy lately mover. So if the daily chart will load here at any point in time, and it's not, so we're going to have to, yeah, there it is. So you can see, really got its foot under ring September 23rd, and it really has not looked back since. So it's a monster mover. CAPR, we're going to keep this one on the side chart, and we'll see what the situation is there. I just want to quickly look at Amazon before we send it back to Joe. We're still at or near the VWAP, so if the fuge gives up the ghost here, I'm getting back into the zone because we haven't cleared VWAP by any respectable distance for it to say, yeah, we're going to use this area as support now. No. In my humble estimation, it's still resistance. If the fuge gives up that 20,250 and comes back down to kind of double top, because I'm not saying there's going to be a double top, but if we can get intraday resistance, I'll get back into the Amazon.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Yeah. See, so Sharif, as you guys seen, Sharif cut his trade. It didn't work out, but he's prepared to enter again, and that's what we want to do. I'm in this NVIDIA trade still. The volume is dwindling, which is breaking my heart, but that's okay. Achy breaky heart, but that's all right because we're always going to get another trade, all right? So we're just going to hold. We know where we're going to get out on this trade. If we break this 120.60 level, we're not going to hold on to it. It may be a short. As you can see, we have multiple tests of this level, and we have the inability for buyers to step in and to take this higher. This tells me that someone is holding this price, and they don't want it to go any higher as of now. So who's going to win the battle? Only time will tell. So we're just going to hold on to this position a little bit longer. We're in some CCL. We like where it is now. I'll pull up CCL for you guys. It's exactly where I want it to be, right at VWAP. We have a strong catalyst, raised guidance, double beat on revenue and earnings. So we're going to hold on. Maybe this thing can catch a flame and start moving topside. We're in the lunchtime hour. It's 12:30. So I'm not expecting things to start zooming, right? So we're going to have to sit in these positions a little bit longer. We're going to have to let them slow brew and continue to hold. If they start to work, they'll work. But we're not going to fight it. We see what the market is doing. The Qs are failing. They're kind of stalling just below the all-time highs here, or the daily highs, sorry. And the SPY, it's doing all right, but it's nothing crazy. So we're going to see what's driving the SPY there. Maybe the financials are going strong, XLF, XLV, XLE. We'll see that because right now tech is kind of stalling near its daily highs, and we're going to take it from there, Sharif.
All right, we're printing here on Amazon, Joe. So we got, we're short 23s. We just got 10s. Now I'm waiting at 90s. Let's go, Amazon. Get down. Where's Big Spile, man? I need Big Spile to yell, get down. in his funny voice. Yeah, there's the look there on Amazon, looking for another print, but knowing full well that the future still near the highs, so I'm trying to be careful with this one. I'm waiting at 90s to get printed. We're printing 95s. We'll pack our patience on this one on AMZN, knowing full well that it could find support at the whole dollar, Joe, 186 and change. Beautiful. But we'll see. We'll see. And that's the look there. So I'm packing my patience on Amazon. I will look to defend that 30 penny level if it does ascend, really depending on what the futures are doing, okay? So that's what I'm going to keep my eye on there. CGC, I don't know if I should just flatten out here and get break even, because this is not what I want to see, Joe.
No.
This ain't what I want to see.
Shout out 2018 CGC, by the way. 2018 CGC. We like 2018.
When weed stocks were going.
That was a good time. That was an absolute great time. That made accounts. And, and we absolutely love it.
Oh yeah. There was that was the Kamala pump as well, right? Remember that Kamala pump after her debate with Pence? Remember Tilray was at $75?
Tilray.
It was at $75.
Crazy.
Where is Tilray right now? Just, you know, whatever and giggles, you know what I mean? Well, I don't mean that, because maybe people are holding this. I don't mean it like that. It's at $1.79, Joe. It's $1.79.
We hope that no one's hodling that.
No, I really hope not. I really do hope not.
Do not beg, hold on to those losers. We are going to emphasize that. And Sharif's trade is a prime example of that. He cut the trade, and what? He got a better entry price and then took profits. That's exactly what we're looking for. Cut your trade, cut your loser, because there is always going to be an equal or better opportunity. And Sharif did exactly that with Amazon. That is textbook trading. That is professional trading. That is what we want to see. Amazon trades exactly like that. He got out when he knew he was supposed to, and he got right back in when he knew he was supposed to. And that is professional trading. But pulling up my chart here, we are going to take another stab at CCL. Nice. We are waiting for it to break. If any volume steps in, it is a NYSE stock, so these are slow burners. NYSE stocks are a little bit slow burners. They move different opposed to SPY and the Qs and et cetera. They're a little bit more of a slow burner. They like to do a couple fake outs before they do the move. So if we get to moving on the top side on CCL, we're really gonna like that. But narrative, as always, we're not gonna fight it. We're gonna join it. So we're gonna continue to look at that. The Qs are kind of stalling. SPY pulling back slightly a little bit, so we got a little bit of space here. 1780, we're out of this trade. We're not going to hold it any longer than that, Sharif.
Sounds good, man. Packing my patience on this one. It's not giving me that next B quitter just yet, so I'm just going to leave my out there. Guys, I'm a little worried, man. Meta's putting in highs, and the future's definitely not giving up here. So I don't want to, you know what I mean? I like this Amazon trade, but I don't want to keep fighting a losing fight. And it's coming back up against me over here. And I'm watching Apple also find support. And the thing is, too, some of these Mag 7 names could find support from where they are. And if they do find, then they'll help propel the futures. So we got a 10 exponential retracement on NVIDIA. We got the same thing on Apple. Look how extended Amazon is away from its 10 exponential. Meta just printed highs. Google's close to highs. Tesla just found support, or it looks like possibly at yesterday's closing print, and also VWAP, the area that we were talking about, this 260.50. So if that keeps happening, then I can't anticipate Amazon continuing to bleed independently of the future. I think that is a riskier proposition. Now, if it ends up manifesting that way, great, you know, but I don't necessarily think that to be the case. So I'm a little concerned about this trade. I do like my entry, but I am concerned about the trade. 496 we're still showing here on CGC, so I'm still flat on that. Absolutely nothing doing there. Really have no idea if this works its way back into 5. To be quite honest with you, I've been looking at the time and sales to see what kind of bamboozlement there could be here on the book. And quite frankly, I think the book is just too thick. So if it keeps doing that, I'm just going to flatten out. Oh, it just ascended into 97s over here. So we took out the seller at 96. $5 is going to be the level for me. $5, I think I'll be able to know what the situation is. So that's a look there. So I'm packing my patience on Amazon, packing my patience on CGC, but yeah, it's coming up against me here into some of these levels. Gorev, SMCI has a good pattern to take shorts. What kind of pattern were you looking at there, my man? Let me know. You could say it was an Amazon Prime opportunity. Get it, Adara. I don't know if she's still up there, but yeah, I can't see her because there's a big pole that blocks that seat and my views. But I think she is because she's dropping all lives, and it's funny. Yeah, she is there, Katina Man says. There we go. Yeah, that's the look there, man. What else are you looking at, brother?
No, that's it. It's the same old, same old. We're keeping our eyes on our CCL trade here. It's not doing anything. We're anticipating, we're waiting for JP at 1. So you can see momentum and volume start to slow down. We got him coming up in about a half an hour. So he'll add some volatility into the markets, absolutely. So we're going to look at that. If we break these lows, we're out of Nvidia and CCL, and that's it. But other than that, guys, since we're sitting here waiting for JP, throw your options questions in the chat. We're going to answer those as best we can. Send the options question our way, and we're going to make sure we take care of you. Absolutely. But see, let's see what we're doing here on Apple. I like Apple. The price action's a little funky on it, and that's kind of why I want to point it out. As you can see, that there's literally not much going on here. It's an absolute grind to the top side, and it halted. We have an average volume, but nothing crazy on here. And when we want to see these high day breaks, we want to see that punch of volume. We want to see that influx of volume, and that's going to give our trade more conviction. As you see, we had none of that here. As a matter of fact, we were advancing on declining volume almost. So expect a pullback when you don't have that continued strength in these stocks.
All right, Adara's got the small cap segment. Let's check that out.
Going to touch on some new runners or runners we didn't get to talk about earlier. We do have here the IWM. This continuing to have support at a bit of a double bottom if you look at the 15-minute chart. Just around that 219 area. We round out, pushing higher right now. Try to find some support now at that 250-60 area. A bit of previous resistance as well for that Russell 2000. Currently up just over 0.3% on the day compared to a roughly flat S&P 500 and Qs. In terms of individual names to look at, ATGL, not one, but two or three, I guess, here. Bearish candles coming in on this one on the 3-minute chart. Still up, though, about 65% in the day. Not seeing any news on this one. We have a float story of around 15 million shares. Lots of social media attention here for Alpha Technology Group. Next up, we have IGC. This is one of the penny stocks here in that cannabis space. We know we have Sharif trading CGC to that effect as well. With regards to these names, we have some movement here off of comments that Kamala Harris made on a podcast suggesting that she would be okay with legalizing marijuana. That is the Democratic presidential candidate there. Last but not least, AST Space Mobile. This one's a little bit larger ASTS. We have a market cap of just under $7 billion. Trading here right now around $26, announcing some preliminary results for its public warrant redemption. Bit of a short float here to keep in mind as well for ASTS.
I'm just talking to Katina Man there about the election. Yeah, it's a good look. Thank you very much, Adara. Get down, Amazon. Get down. Yes, Katina Man, we're pumped about that. We're short 25s. Now we got the print at 90. Get down.
Let's go.
Okay, so now we need to talk serious now. So where's the next profit taker going to be at? Well, guys, if we breach the 10 exponential and the 20 exponential on the zone, look at how we're using VWAP here as resistance. I would guess, my humble estimation, that we hold up likely at the $0.50, assuming, underline, assuming we continue with that rounded top and continue descending. Look at this area crest over here that we double topped at 184.54. So I'm happy with the trade. I questioned myself because of what the market was doing. What I think kept me involved was this lower high situation on the 5. Area crest, lower high, lower high, lower high. There was a breach here, but look how the candle bamboozled you. Get down, Amazon. I'm waiting, baby. And now we've got wicks with which to contend over here on the chart, and I do apologize for that. I'll get those fixed up quick as you like. We're going to wait over here to wet our beak again for a next profit taker at $0.75. We're printing 88s. We can get that, I'll be pleased as dang punch. Otherwise, we'll look to reset on this. And again, I do apologize about the wicks. I'll fix that in a quick second over here on AMZN. But the reason, again, why I got short Amazon, it is the weakest Mag 7 name on the day, outpacing Nvidia. Nvidia was down as well. The Mag 7, most of them have gone green. Same save and except for Amazon and NVIDIA. In addition to that, it was the biggest loser on the day. It was at below VWAP, yada, yada, yada. You guys get why I got short there. We'll see if we can get the best print that I can get right now at the $0.75, and then we'll look for more at the $0.50. But that is the situation right now in AMZ. And day trader Sky, do you think I should trade the futures while Jerome Powell speaking, or will just get stopped out? Brother, I'll never tell you how to trade, but what I can tell you is just from my experience. When Papa drops hot lines, the market zigzags in. Yeah. We're going to need you to calm down a little bit today. You don't say good afternoon, okay? Because every time you say good afternoon, you tank the market. We've had it, all right? We've had, thank you. All right, so what I mean to say in that little joke there is basically he can say something completely innocuous and then you get a market tanking. So, you know, like, take your pick. I mean, would you trade the future? Like, what's your position on that, Joe?
I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till the volatility phases out. We'll let him do his thing. We'll let the market react how it wants to react. There's nothing we can do about that. It's going to pump. It's going to dump. We don't know, but we're going to wait for that specific entry. And when an opportunity arises after that volatility slows down and comes back in, then we will look for to join whatever direction the stocks are moving in. If you want to play that volatility, just be prepared that you might be stuck in a volatility onslaught. Now, I want to touch on this one question. Joe, what do you think of Ford options plays considering the potential strike with the union workers or the dock workers?
Good question.
Let's see. I'm looking over here at Ford for you guys. It's not really in my wheelhouse. It's not something price-wise that I would look at. But that is a good catalyst. When workers go on strike, there's something can be there. Some volatility might come in. You might get a big down move or a big up move. Let price react how it's going to react, and then you can join and base an options trade on that. Unfortunately, Ford won't be able to, you won't be able to sell any good credit on Ford, so you'll be looking more at a directional play via options, like maybe a call spread or a put spread, bullish or bearish, depending on which way the stock decides to move, all right?
Love it, bro. All right, I'm just keeping my eye still on this trade because this is no good here. I think that if we reascend into 498s, Fabian, I'm going to get out of the entire thing because here we go again with CGC coming back into the lower area. It's found its footing at 90 and 91. Have a look at what it's done originally here. This was my last dollar cost average. We held up over here at 1206 and 1205. We held up at 1231, 32, and now again at 36. But if that buyer, at 90 gives way, well, then I want no smoke because we've got incrementally lower highs with what could be a flat bottom break, and that ain't the trade that I'm in. I'm in a long, not a short. So I think that if we do weasel our way up into the high to mid 90s, I'm going to flatten out on this one. You know, it may have been an entire waste of time to do that because then it could trend up, but I'm not going to keep nursing this trade and having it hold on to my mental capital and focusing on it when I could be doing other things. So that is the look there. Continuing to wait on Amazon to break that area low, knowing that it got a nice little pump, but here we go into the mid 95s again. I'm waiting at 75, and if I don't get the print, I don't get the print, but I'm seeing the future also coming down a little bit over here. So we'll see if Amazon can make another area low. It did find support for whatever reason in the mid 80s last time. Here we go with the low 90s again though. So I'll be waiting 75s. Topping tail candle on Meta. And you got some weakness as well on Apple. I'm also seeing NVIDIA break the 20 exponential on the 5. So good look. Hopefully this manifests, who knows. Top VOIP, my goodness, where have you been, voice over internet protocol? We miss you, bro. Have a look at VKTX when you have a chance. Breaking weekly range. Absolutely, sir. Let's pull up that name for you, VKTX. You said the weekly. Breaking weekly range. Fantastic look there. Let's have a look at the weekly. So sorry, this, I don't know why it always takes so long to load, so I'll just have to pack my patience on this one. We'll let that one load, and I'll get to it in a hot second. While we're doing that, though, I'm still continuing to watch Amazon, Fabian, find support at 90 pennies. We're going to have to keep an eye on that, because anything higher high related, I don't want at all, to be honest.
Good, brother. How's
okay, so
everything?
here's VKTX on the weekly. To you. Look, I don't think we've necessarily broken through a level. No, on the weekly, what we have done is we set up one hell of a bull flag. What looks to be a possible bull flag set up on the weekly. Again, these chart patterns are fractal, baby. Whether you're looking at the 5 or the weekly or the monthly, there is validity in these patterns. But what I see here is chop between the moving averages, and then that means I want no smoke. Why? Because we know the moving averages chop. You get these false signals during consolidative markets. And this isn't what I want. I want a breakout or breakdown trade. If you want to trade the range, have at it, baby. There's clearly a buyer here at 50, right? If you're willing to hold to the close, because you get intraday wicks that breach 50. So if you want to play the range, 50 is obviously a level. To the top side, at least locally, seems like 70. This is obviously a swing style trade, because you're not going to get these 50 to 70s intraday, or maybe you will, who knows. But the point is, I don't necessarily see a breakout on the daily other than this bull flag. And the breakout's already happened. When did this bull flag happen? That's February 26th. This week right here that I'm pointing at, that's the week of February 26, 2024. So we've been in this range for a hot minute, but thank you for pointing that out. I think this is an interesting level if you're willing to play the range 50 and then 70. And then again, if you make those higher highs eventually, then yeah. But right now you're not getting those higher highs. You're getting basically 70s, and prior to that, you had been making lower highs. So that's a look on VKTX. Let me know how it goes, though. Good to have you back, though,
hey,
Mr. Voice over Internet Protocol. No,
yeah.
I was talking to the chat. I wouldn't call you out like that. You do whatever you want, bro. I'm not going to call you out like that. Come on, Joe. So, yeah, still watching here as Amazon finds support every single time we dip into the mid-80s. Mid to high 80s. We're there right now. Do we hold? I've been waiting at 75. I'd love a print at 75. And here we go with 85s. Okay, packing my patience there. Yeah, shout out to him. Hey, Davis, is Joe flat right now, or is the screen not showing his present trade? So, guys, Joe is still getting set up on the position board, so his positions will not show, but soon we will have that. He's going to keep updating you on his positions.
Yeah, and just to keep you updated, I am out of my CCL trade. We follow our rules. That's what you have to do.
Bang.
We're out. We didn't get the topside break that we were looking for. It broke this level of support. We're not getting any momentum to the topside. Especially, I'm thinking, hey, maybe we trend a little bit higher today, considering the catalyst that we had: earnings, raised guidance, double beat, EPS. So we like that. I'm looking for continued strength in that. And unfortunately, with CCL, we didn't get that. And that's okay, because there's always going to be another opportunity. And we're just going to sit here, we're going to wait, we're going to hold our horses, and we're going to wait until that opportunity comes. Now, if CCL decides to pick up some volume, as you can see, it's absolutely dwindling, diverging, as we were saying earlier, especially just because of the time of day. We're going to wait, and if anything steps in, we're going to be prepared, and we're going to be ready to take those trades to the top side. Now, there's a great question in the chat, and it was from Brian Urich. How do you use level 2 when day trading? Perfect. You're in the right spot. Sharif has been going through the lesson of the day, so make sure you stay tuned, and he will go into more depth on how you can use level 2 into day trading. All right? So just looking at the overall market and where we could potentially go, we know what's looming. We have JP, the man, at 1 o'clock. So don't expect anything crazy to happen for the next 20 minutes or so. But when 1 o'clock comes and he starts to talk the economy, interest rates, maximum employment, his mandates, we're going to be ready, and we're going to be ready to take action on those trades. Sharif.
All right, I think Adira's got something for us. What do you got for us, Adira?
On GEO here, Geo Group. This one getting a bit of a volume spike in that previous 3-minute candle. We have Citron Research releasing a positive note on the company. For context, GEO, smaller cap company, around $1.7 billion market cap. They work in the infrastructure and governmental space. We basically have this note saying that it's likely to benefit from either outcome of the presidential election. So keep an eye on a bit of volatility in GEO, guys.
Thank you for that, Adair. I was just talking to Katina, man. He was reminding me what that trade was. Guys, I'm going to have to take the L here on CGC. I don't want any more smoke here. So that's the loss. It's okay. That's the way it is. So we're not going to smoke up this one, Katina, man. In fact, it's going to smoke us. And that was the problem there. So we get the break of 490. It ranged. We had the opportunity to get out break even, but that ain't the move. The move was to make money. And we didn't make money on this one, and that's okay. We're going to set up. Katina, man. Yes, there you go, baby. Smoking up a storm over there. I like it.
Stormy. Yeah, so shout out Mashworth. Thanks for the love, brother. We're going to get everything set up. I'm going to be able to comment to you guys in the chat as well, too. I'm going to be able to answer your questions there shortly. So just stay tuned. We'll be there. We're looking at NVIDIA again here. We're going to see if we pull back into VWAP, and we can look for an entry from that point. Other than that, it's the same narrative. We're just sitting here. We're sitting here waiting for JP. Maybe he'll call us again shortly and tell us what he's going to do. We don't know because he just calls at random. So,
that's Kathy.
Oh, no, it's Kathy. So the ARK Invest, I'm sorry, we don't own any of that. We don't want to own any of that. So, but hey, that's okay. Shout out Kathy. She gave us a ring and everything like that. So maybe we'll talk to her later after JP. He has something to say, and we can shoot some advice over to her, and she can make that ARK Invest slightly a little bit better.
I like it.
I don't know.
Adara put this in the chat. I have seen both 1 and 155 for Jerome Powell. The event was supposed to start.
That's why I said
so you're not
right?
wrong. Yeah, a lot of people were saying that too.
Yeah.
She goes on to say, the event was supposed to start at 12 p.m., but it hasn't yet. Shout out to Adair. Thank you for putting that in, getting a lot of questions. But when Jerome Powell is going to get on the mic and drop hot lines, we shall find out. But what we're going to do while we're waiting, Katina, man, is we're just going to jump into the lesson du jour and talk about some level 2. So let's get right to it, baby. Level 2 order book. We're going to talk beyond the basics today, so welcome back. Let's delve deeper into this level 2 order book and dissect its intricacies to inform our kind of smaller cap trades, news-driven kind of intraday plays. We'll move beyond the buy and sell buy and sell sides and focus on more order types and level 2 interpretation. So let's get right to it. So let's start with some basic order types. These are not the only types of orders, but the ones that we're going to discuss today. Limit orders. These bread and butter orders specify an exact price at which a trader is willing to buy or sell an instrument. The order book shows the depth of volume at each price level. So all the orders you're seeing there are limit orders, right? They're limit orders that are showing up on the time or in the level 2. If they were market orders, they would have filled, okay? So they are limit orders that are showing up on the level 2. Not the only type of order. It's the only type of order that I use. So personally, I haven't used market orders in a hot minute. Stop orders. Couple of types of these. Let's talk about the first. So these come into play, stop orders that is, come into play only when the price reaches a certain level, which is the stop price. They can be stop loss orders, like sell orders. So you can have them placed below the market price to limit your losses. So if I got in $200 on Apple and it dipped into $199.49, I can get out there for the 50-penny break. Okay, that's what that kind of order is. But it's not the only type of stop order. There's stop market orders as well. And these trigger at whatever price once the stop is hit. So you're saying to the computer, all right, look, where's Apple at? 232.02 right now is on Apple. Let's say it gets to 233. You're saying to the computer, if the price reaches 233, sell at whatever the market is or buy at whatever the market is. So you're telling it once a price is triggered, sell it into the market price. You can also have a stop limit order, which tells the computer once 233 is hit, sell up to 233.10 or sell up to 232.90. You specify a trigger price and a limit price. When you have a stop order, that's a market order. It just tells the computer sell at whatever the market price once this price is triggered. So a few different types of stop orders there. Again, by no means an exhaustive list. Last but not least of the order types we're going to talk about today are these iceberg orders, and these bamboozle a lot of traders. Why? Because you don't see the size reflected on the book. You only see a partial size. So these only show a portion of the total size, masking the larger buying or selling interest. Look, though, one way to gauge to see whether they're there or not is to look for sudden jumps in volume after the iceberg order has been partially fulfilled. So oftentimes what we'll see, and again, I'll bring up the level 2, and again, this is TQQs. I don't usually use the book on the future, but if you have, like, say, at $72, and there's only 1 or 2 lots sitting there at $72, the price keeps rejecting 72, but there's only a few lots there. What the hell's going on? There's likely a hidden seller not showing the entire size of their order. That's why you're getting rejected off that level. Same holds true for a hidden buyer. If you're trying to short a stock and on the bid side, let's say we're at $71 on the TQQs, it keeps bouncing off 72, 71, 71. Why? There's only a couple of 100 lots sitting there. It doesn't make any sense. There is a hidden buyer likely around there, okay? So how do you analyze the order book dynamics? Let's talk about the order book movement to start off with. Watch how the order book changes. Are the bids actively moving up the price ladder, chasing the offer, so to speak, or is there a stack of sell orders just above the current price, creating a potential selling pressure zone? So that's one thing to look for. Also look for these order cancellations. They're illegal, but they happen, okay? Cancellations can be just as informative sometimes as active orders. If a large buy order is pulled, for example, it could signal waning buying interest. Conversely, multiple ask cancellations at a resistance level, for example, might suggest that sellers are waiting for better price to offload. And what am I talking about when I say that? Let's just go back to the level 2 over here. Let's pretend we're at $72 again on the TQQs, okay? And then let's just say I'm long 71.50. I'm feeling myself. I'm like, whoa, I'm 50 pennies of money, yeah, right? And then all of a sudden, I see a huge sell order at 72s. So I'm a little worried. I'm like, oh, maybe we can't break 72s. So then I look at the bid, and I look, and that 71.75, there's an order twice the size of the order waiting at 72. So then I start feeling good. I'm like, all right, there's a guy 25 pennies ahead of where I got in with a monster order. So he's going to backstop me and prevent the price from coming down if we keep coming down. But guess what? The price comes down to that 71.75, and guess where that order is? Nowhere to be found. He's pulled the order. He's spoofed the market. Okay? And this happens all the time, and you need to be aware of it. Great, legal or not, it doesn't really matter. Am I right on that? Spoofing. The spoofing man, where is he at? He's back from New York. Shout out to the OP. He is the one that can. Shout out to him, man. All right, so let's go on here. Let's talk about some advanced order book patterns. Spooning, not spoofing. Spooning, guys. This occurs when buy orders are placed just below the current ask price and sell orders are placed just above the current bid price. It's an interesting little trick. It suggests that tight trading and possible price consolidation just before a breakout of either the resistance or support level, depending on whether you're going north or south. And some other book patterns that we want to talk about, an order book vacuum. This is where there's a significant absence of orders at a particular price level, and it can indicate to you potential buying or selling zones, really depending on the context. It's not a hard and fast rule. For example, a vacuum below support might indicate buying interest waiting to fill that gap. Okay, we're not going to get into that too much right now. And interpreting the order book in context. Pre-market analysis, super important here if you want to trade some of these small gappers, right? Analyze the order book before the market opens, especially for stocks that are gapping up on news that show up on your scanner. A high bid volume at the ask price, consistently showing up at the ask price in the pre-market, can signal strong buying pressure at the open. And there's also the post-news analysis. We're going along our merry way here on the midday show. Then all of a sudden, a small cap gapper shows up midday with a news catalyst that just came in. So the volume just starts coming in now. Didn't come in the pre-market. So it's a post-news analysis. So what we're looking for here is after the news breaks, see how the order book reacts. Does the buying volume dry up initially after that big volume surge and we get that V-shaped retracement all the way down? Or is there sustained buying pressure through levels? And it's incumbent upon you to see where the hell the resistance levels are on that particular stock. You just can't trade it blind on an intraday basis. Where are we where would we possibly get rejected at, or like where can the price get rejected at if we continue to ascend? So many different things to talk about with respect to level 2, kind of beyond the scope of this lesson, but I hope everybody got a little something out of that.
Yeah, absolutely great stuff, Sharif. Absolutely great stuff. This is what you want to look for when you're looking at the level 2. This is how you trade. This is how professional traders trade, and that's what you want to look at. We're going to touch on GME because it is absolutely flying to the top side. This is what we want to look at. When we have a genuine move, when the stock is moving higher and the volume is also in correlation with the stock moving higher, this is a genuine move, and this is exactly what we want from confirmation on a breakout. So if you're a breakout trader and you're curious onto why sometimes the stock isn't breaking out and you're sitting on your hands, well, just look at the volume. Is the volume breakout volume? Is the volume stepping in? Is there orders being smashed on the ask? Is the tape in confluence with everything? So that's just something to keep your eye on. When you have this, as you see, the volume is stair-stepping higher in conjunction with the price. And that's what you want to see when you are a breakout trader. You knew that from my NVIDIA trade, I was looking for the break of high day. I did not get this type of price action, all right? And that's what I was looking for. If I knew that GME was going to do this prior and I seen this volume stepping in, I could have done a higher day break with the volume stepping in, and that gives me more conviction within the trade. So shout out to the guys in the chat who mentioned GME. And if you have any questions on, hey, Joe, I'm this type of trader, why doesn't it work? What should I be looking for if I'm looking for breakdowns, if I'm looking for breakups, or when the stock's just chopping and turning around? So throw your questions in the chat. We're going to do the best we can to answer those. And we're just going to keep our eyes on GME. We got 5 minutes until, oh no, actually we have an hour because he's not going to show up till 1:55 apparently. We don't know. Adara says we don't know. So the man does what he wants. He shows up when he wants. He speaks when he wants, and he says what he wants to say. So, but we'll be ready for that. Until then, we're just going to keep our eyes on it. If we can get some continuation within the trend on GME, that would be fantastic. As you can see, we held VWAP here. We double bottomed at VWAP. We broke the support level, and we decided to trade higher. I'm also looking at Amazon as well, too, because I'm starting to like how it's looking around VWAP. So I like when stocks are trading around VWAP. So we'll take a look at that. But in the meantime, we're going to keep a bombastic side eye on GME to see what's going on with that. So I'm going to pull up Amazon here because we're going to get ready to enter a position if it starts to do what we want to do. But unlike, we're not in the NQ here. Perfect, here we go. But as you can see, it's nothing, when I'm looking for the break of VWAP or something, it's nothing like how GME was. We're not getting that volume stepping in, right? So that's alarming. So what you have to do is just pack your patience, as Sharif says, hold your horses, and wait for that trade to set up how it's supposed to set up. We need the volume to step in order for us to give us confirmation onto that trade. So we'll look at that, and yeah, nothing's really going on. We got an hour. Apple's starting to pull in towards VWAP. AMD is trading slightly above VWAP, and we have Amazon. There's nothing. It's crazy. It's quiet. It's a quiet lunchtime, right? But we're going to be ready for when JP speaks. We're going to wait. We're going to pack our patience. We're going to see what's going on here. We do have some potential bottom here, which we really do like. Let me get rid of these dark pool wicks here. Sorry, let me pull them over here. So we're just waiting. We like this potential double bottom around 184.60s. So we're going to hold this. If we break VWAP here, I'm going to enter this trade. We're going to just dabble a little bit. We're not going to go full size, but we're going to get our beaks wet, dip our toes in the water, and see if we can get any move to the top side.
All right, guys, the afternoon segment literally is nothing without you guys, right? I mean, you got to vote for your favorite tickers in order for the Katina Man and the Neil to have a look at them for you guys. Shout out to the OG Darwin. He wants to talk about Nikola, and he did it the absolute perfect way. Shout out to him. It's exclamation point, that word join. Then hit that space bar Otherwise, it won't trigger. Then hit shift 4 for the dollar sign or whatever you got to do for hit the dollar sign. And then enter in that ticker of your choice. Look, you've got people talking about, you got Blake Colton. He wants to talk about SoFi. And I heard from other individuals trading today that SoFi's been moving. Get into the chat, vote for what you want to vote for. If you want to vote for some of these small cap gappers, get into the chat and vote for them. If you want to vote for the Mag 7, large caps, whatever, semis, get into the chat right now. You got Neil Robb. He wants to join and talk about Meta. This thing's been rocketing up into all-time highs, and I can't wait to try on those glasses. I gotta tell you the truth, man. Those AR glasses are nuts. GDX, go gold. Throw in a gold miner, GLD maybe. The Katina man will look at that for you. You like gold these days, don't you? He gave me a thumbs up. Then that, you know, the Katina man is pretty decisive about that. How about the others? He's talking about Bitcoin. Do you want to see the Katina man talk about Bitcoin and Cardano? Or do you want to hear what Neil has to say about it? Get into the dang chat. Every day from the time we get on the show till 1:50 p.m. before the big kahunas come back on, and have your vote every day. There we go. Now we got people voting up a storm. We got Joshua Herbert. He wants to talk about Palantir. And let me tell you, my man over there is going to absolutely oblige you on Palantir. I can tell you that. We got Charmeen Khan wanting to talk about GameStop. GameStop's moving again. Did Catman tweet again, or what's going on over here, man?
He must have posted something because it's roaring, absolutely roaring. So yeah, that's it.
There we go. And there, you look at this roaring dizzy over here. I was about to say roaring kitty. DSY, small cap gapper, showing up midday. Look at that volume spike on DSY. Just coming in right now. We were just yelling or talking, or yelling in my case, about these small cap gappers that show up midday that did not really have the majority of their volume in the pre-market or in the earlier time of the day. Do you like these kind of stocks? Throw them in the chat. Hurry. You typed in only join, my man. You didn't type in a ticker. You need a ticker, right? So shout out to everybody there. Yes, hey, Davis, I'm trying to make him vote. Ro, he wants to talk about IWM. Adara would always trade IWM. Russell 2000, throw that in the chat. See what the Katina man and the Neil have to say about it. Every single day, you get to vote from 11 to 150 for the big kahunas, and they'll look at that for you. And on that note, we're going to send it up to Adara for crypto.
Before we get to crypto, it is worth noting we finally have that stream beginning for this conference that Jerome Powell was set to speak at. This is a National Association for Business Economics conference called Finding Harmony in the Noise, Transitioning to a New Normal. Again, not sure when Fed Chair Jerome Powell will begin speaking, and this event has gone live, but it's really just a Zoom screen at this point. I will let you guys know when we have any updates on that. In terms of a crypto update, it's worth noting we have a little bit more weakness in BTC than what we saw last time we looked at this chart a couple hours ago. At that time, we were just below 64,000. Now we're cracking below 63.5. Low of day, from what I can see here, was around 63.250. We haven't really been at that level since very early this morning. So let's see if we make new lows a day for BTC as we get those Fed chair comments. It is also worth noting here, I wanted to look at some of these other names in the crypto space. Weakest of the day by far, from what I could see, was Shiba Inu, SHIB. So I wanted to look at this one compared to the USD. Bit of an interesting support level here, bit of a double bottom with some rounding bottom qualities around this level here. Let's see if we can kind of keep this momentum, because we have had not one, not two, but three straight candles to the downside on this daily chart with some topping tail action going back to last Friday and Saturday as well. So let's see what's going on here with SHIB. Just a little window into the crypto space as we await Fed Chair comments, guys.
You ready for this? Get a great update from Trade the Pool. Now it's even easier to get funded. As you know, Trade the Pool built a unique program to evaluate stock traders like yourself and provide you with the company's funds to trade with. It's real shares, and you no longer need to worry about the PDT rule. But that's not all. I have some exciting news for you today. Trade the Pool has introduced a new tier with $20,000 in buying power, making it easier to pass the evaluation and speeding up the process of getting funded much faster. That's right. It's that simple, and it works. You don't want to miss this opportunity. Scan that QR code or click the link in the description of this video for more information. Shout out to Trade the Pool. Fantastic opportunity for those that don't have their own accounts. I Can't stress that enough. Obviously, that's a barrier to entry. You don't have any money to trade, you can't trade. It's really that simple.
It's really that simple.
So, shout out to them, man.
Shout out to them. So yeah, I'm in some Amazon here. We're looking to see if we can break this level of resistance. If we decide to break, then hey, we're going to be in a banger of a trade. But until then, we're still sitting around. We have our trend lines here, and we're holding this level. If we break this level, this 185 level, then we're out of the trade, and there's nothing wrong with that. But until then, Amazon, it's an absolutely strong stock from top to bottom, so we like it. We're going to take it. We're going to try to continue this trend. If we can counter trend back to the top side, I mean, we pulled back to VWAP. If we can break VWAP and continue to the top side, that would be fantastic. But if it rejects it, then that's okay. Maybe we look for something to the downside, continue the trend to the downside. We're not going to fight it. So we're just going to look to join. And if it goes, whatever which way it goes, we're going to look to join it. So make sure you guys are doing the same thing. Don't fight the stocks. Don't try to force the stock in the direction that you want it to go, because unfortunately it's just not going to. And that's not how it works. Sharif, earlier with Amazon, he did something perfect, like professional trading. He cut the trade and then he jumped right back in. That's exactly what you want to do. Don't hold on to these losers. Cut them, get back in, and then you can give yourself better RVR with those trades. And GME, we're going to look and we're going to pull up GME right now because it is starting to come back in. The momentum started to slow down. As you can see, the volume isn't as crazy as it was when it broke out here, and that's okay. But this can also indicate something. The stock may be breathing and eventually take another leg higher. So GME pulling back, low volume on the pullback compared to the upthrust to the top side. So we'll see what's going to go on here with GME. It can continue to go, but until then, we'll just pack our patience, hold our horses, and see what's going on with this stock, because we can take it long. It can squeeze at any moment. Roaring Kitty can post literally anything, and this stock can absolutely set ablaze. So So we don't know what he's going to do. He's unpredictable. We're going to wait for him. And hopefully he does something. Hey, he might be waiting for JP too as well too. So you never know what he's going to do. I don't even remember how many shares did he have. He's like he's on the board of GME. Yeah. He's on the board of GME, so he's ready to go at any time. Who knows if he starts to squeeze. But GME is an absolutely rocket of a stock today. So we're looking to continue with that.
I got to put that up on the side chart. I just want to remind you guys that Adara threw this in the chat for those of you who want to watch Jerome Powell live. This is obviously, we're waiting. It is the 66 NABE, National Association for Business Economics, their annual meeting, their 66th annual meeting. He's slated to speak there. It has not started yet. Adara threw that link in the chat. If you want that link, just weasel your way on over to that chat and get the link there, or just search it up yourself. Joe, I think I got to echo what you were saying there on the Zon, on AMZN. If I had a flat top break animation, I'd hit it for you, Joe. Hit it. But you know what? We're going to do the contra pause. We're going to hit that flat bottom break and hit the bang, and hopefully that sends a good juju your way for that flat top break. The Katina man also bringing this to my attention while Joe was dropping hot lines. We have a VWAP retracement now on the future. The Katina man is short right now, the TQQQs. And in case you don't know, we have another channel parallel to this one. It goes by the name of More Trader TV Live. It is an information-only channel. You can see the Katina man's positions, Neil's positions, and all the updates. Thank you, Fabian. I do appreciate you doing that. As you can see, lots of information there. Adair takes care of most of that every day, and we always have it being updated. So make sure, if you're not subscribed to that channel and running it parallel to this one, you're not getting the full picture. So shout out to both the big kahunas there, where their trades are reflected. So keeping an eye on the future right now, as it did dip down at that 20,200. And it wasn't just that 100-point level that is of importance. 20,200 and the volume weighted average price are basically the exact same level. We're going to find out more about this, but we're going to find out what Adara has to say right now.
Just an update here for anyone coming in late with regards to comments from Fed Chair Powell. There were a couple times he was potentially supposed to speak here. I was seeing either 1 p.m. or 1:55 p.m. The event itself was supposed to start here at 12 p.m. As said, it did start a little bit later. I think the stream began about 15 minutes ago, and really it's just showing a Zoom screen as of now. So for anyone who was late, we do not have an exact ETA for Jerome Powell. I have the stream on watch. I will let you guys know if and when anything changes there.
Thank you very much, Adair. I'm just reading what Saad Mahmood wrote in the chat. Saad, is this accurate, bro? The Catman owns 250 million shares of GameStop? Is this seriously accurate? That's intense.
Didn't he have like $1 billion of unrealized gains with the options?
I thought it was 250 or something. I don't
something
remember.
absolutely ridiculous. And he's like, I'm holding. Why? What is your purpose? I don't get it. 250 million, $250 million. What are you still holding on for? I don't know. We don't know.
He's an ape, man.
But speaking of,
Spite says Fabian.
Yeah, speaking of, we're in it. We're in GME. We're looking to continue this trend to the top side. So my apes, step in. Let's see what we can do, if we can push this price higher and we continue this trend to the top side. But Roaring Kitty, I don't know. Start covering some of those options. Start locking in some of those gains. I would.
It's notional, by the way. Notional. Yeah,
okay,
my mistake. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Sud.
So notional value. So yeah, I don't know. It's probably not as worth as much as it was anymore. So GME, we're holding on here. We're gonna see. It's not really moving how we want it to, but that's okay. So we're gonna hold on. We're going to see if it continues a little bit to the top side here. Let's see Roaring Kitty. Let's see if he's really my friend or not and he wants to push this price higher because it seems like this guy controls the stock. He's on the board, $250 million notional. He's all over the map with this thing. I don't know. What did he buy a stake in recently? Like
Chewy?
Or Chewy?
Chewy, and then he tweeted that picture of him, or not. I think it was Buzz Lightyear. Who was it that was dropping the dog? Somebody. Say it again? Woody?
Woody.
It was Woody.
Woody.
Andy. I'm mistaken. Thank you.
Andy, okay.
Andy dropping. No, it wasn't dropping. The dog is not Woody.
Who knows?
The nightmare scene where he says, I don't want to play with you anymore or whatever. Shout out to Fabian.
Yeah. What's that guy's name?
I've never seen that.
Oh, you never seen that?
No.
Oh, my God. Toy Story. Classic.
No.
Classic. But yeah, his last stream, I tuned into his last stream and I thought the screen was frozen, but he was just putting on an absolute act. So we don't know what he was doing there, but that's okay because it was honestly, the money.
The Katina Man is printing.
He's up to something over there.
He's printing on the future.
The future. All right, it's coming in as the markets are selling a little bit here. We got 50 minutes or so until Jerome Powell starts talking. Hey, Katina Man's onto something. Follow what he's doing maybe. Short the market. Do something. Come up with your trade plan. See what you want to do. See how the market reacts here. We're holding on to this GME trade. We're going to see if we can eventually break this high a day here. And if we do, we're going to look to take a little off the top.
I love that. What's going on? Juan Alejandro Castillo, you're making me laugh, bro. Because I remember that's what he testified. He's like, I like the stock. Right? Yeah, that's why I'm buying it. So he was just saying that right now. So I love it. The Fabian loves it too. Look, man, hey, we're not a suit. I don't care either way how this goes. I just hope everybody does well. I'm a cheerleader like that. So that's the way it is there. I hope everybody's printing up multiple storms, knowing full well that it can't be everybody who prints up because somebody's got to lose for somebody else to make money. That's just the way life is. Yeah, that's the look. All right, Amazon did take a bit of a hit there. I was keeping my eye on this one. I feel a little silly, quite frankly, because we could have, been building into this. In any event, I think that the trade is... Yeah, it's still sitting up, man. It's still within the range, and that's the thing. Now that I look at it ex post facto, 186.30 to the high side, and quite frankly, 185.80 has been the range. And I want to say the range has been in play for the better part of this after 11:45. So we're going on almost an hour and a half now. Here we go. That's a big dump. You called that. Good for you, bro. Katina Man just printed on those TQQs. The market took a bit of a flush there. I don't know if Papa said hello or what he said, but he seems to aggravate the markets anytime he greets us. So that's a look there. We're dropping down now on some of these names. Could these be good entries? Look where Microsoft is. Volume weighted average price, Apple, volume weighted average price, Nvidia, volume weighted average price, Google, Scotiabank. You know what I'm going to say. That volume weighted average price at 164.25 a quarter. You got the likes of Tesla below and AMZN below. Meta well high above VWAP as well. Meta's been obviously the monster as of late with their Meta Connect event last week. I got to tell you, I was very wowed by that. I continue to be wowed as I read more about it. call me a little cynical, man. I don't know. Sometimes I can be a little bit cynical.
Let's hear it.
Did Meta expose their hand by dropping these glasses as a prototype to kind of for everybody else who wants to kind of weasel into their you know that gimmick?
Into that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, but
do you expose your hand a little bit, or do you have a first mover advantage?
I don't know. I think they're doing pretty good, right? They teamed up with Ray-Ban, right? So that's a popular glasses, also on a popular platform. But one company I think you need to watch out for, Apple. Because they are not always first to the dance, fashionably late, but they always do it best, okay? Apple does it best all the time. So I don't know, did Mark expose his hand a little bit?
I don't know. I'm just putting it up there as a question, see what people are saying. Like what I was thinking was like, if you're into this whole, you know, corporate, I don't want to call it disinformation, but you're always trying to keep your competitors off your scent. You know what I mean? Because they want to eat your lunch.
They want to eat it.
That's the thing.
If you're any good, they're just going to buy you out anyways.
Right?
Hey, this is my idea. And that's okay. But hey, I don't know. It's revolutionary. The Orions, they look absolutely sick. But beware.
So good.
Because Apple will always have a trick up its sleeve.
That's the thing. And I was thinking, like, did Apple, you know, I don't know. I'm just gonna keep this idea to myself anyway. maybe we'll talk about it later.
Maybe we'll talk about it later.
You know what? I'm thinking along on. I'm gonna give this one the old college try over here because a lot of these ones are at VWAP, and I'm unsure exactly how to play this latest market down move. It's been a positive day for the most part on these here markets, but there are a few names that are negative. Obviously, Tesla, Amazon, and Microsoft now marginally negative. Nvidia's been negative for a hot minute. Basically, since the start of the day, we did get this midday downturn off the highs on the Mag 7 and on the Future. I'm trying to assess, in my humble estimation, whether I should be taking this market short or long at these levels. And the thing is, we came into, I should say, a key area of technical support on the Future here. Look at all these bottoming tail candles that go into this random 20,168, 170, blah, blah, whatever, this area here. Umpteen amount of bottoming tail candles, all of which found a buyer. That is, of course, after the IB low that we printed at 10:20 a.m. We've been basically defending this 20,170, whatever, generally that area. We come into it right now, we're finding a bit of a bounce, but we haven't reclaimed VWAP. So I started looking at Amazon. I'm like, okay, Amazon has an area crest over here from the earlier trading. We're right at that area crest. Do we hold up? And for 5 minutes now, or almost 5 minutes, we've been generally holding up. So I don't know what to do. I'm debating whether I want to take Microsoft long off VWAP, Apple long off VWAP, Amazon off this level. I'm really quite unsure, to be honest with you. Monty G says nice rollover, so he's thinking, I'm assuming, unless you're thinking it's just a quick rollover that we're heading down on these markets. I got to tell you, I'm unsure how to take this trade right now. It's about 1:15, and we haven't heard anything from Papa quite yet. So, yeah, I'm going to pack my patience over here. Are you still looking short, the Catinaman? The Catinaman is only short at these levels. How do you feel here, bro?
Hey, I feel great, actually. I'm just looking at the market start to pull in a little bit, and that's okay.
You thinking long or short at these levels, though?
Hey, I'm thinking short, maybe. If we can break 485 on the Qs, then there can definitely be some more downside and potentially go and test the lower days. And that can happen, right? So, and that's fine. The market has been strong for so long, so it needs to breathe.
True.
So once in a while, when you kind of get these choppy days and you have these big catalytic events coming up, then you can see a little bit of chop within the markets. And that's okay, because we're just going to sit here, wait. We're going to see what presents itself and just follow what the overall market is doing. And that's going to always continuously be my narrative. We're not going to fight anything. We're going to see what the market's doing. The Qs are slightly pulling back towards VWAP now, so maybe it holds it there. But I think we're primed for something once JP speaks. I'm currently in GME. I'm the roaring kitty party today. We're slightly going higher, nothing crazy, nothing that I like is like, oh, hey, add to this position.
Maybe
problem. That's all right. So we're over here. We're gonna see if it starts to work. Maybe I'll add a little size to this position. This goes on to a totally different topic, exponentially bet sizing opposed to linear bet sizing. When things are working, you want to make them as big as you possibly can. Exponentially bet sizing opposed to just being on a linear base where every trade has the same risk, no matter how well it's working. So when things start to work, to go on to Dad Trader, what he said, how can I hold on to these winners and how can we make them bigger is, okay, well, we can exponentially bet size. When things are working, let's add into these positions, not fight it, and let them work a little bit more. As you can see on GME, we're holding this 23.18 level. And if we break that, I'm out of the trade, and that's fine. But I'm thinking we have this massive volume influx. Eventually, there's probably going to be some continuation on the trend, and I'm going to look for exactly that. We have, as you can see, using my ray line, is that we're holding these levels very, very well. So we're going to, as long as we continue to hold these levels, that's okay. If we pull back into this area, hey, maybe look for an additional long and continue with the trend to the top side. If it breaks it, then sentiment on the stock can completely change, right? And if it changes, be prepared to change your thesis or just abandon it in general. That's okay, because there's always going to be another market day. You're always going to be able to put on another trade. We don't want to hold on to losers because that's no good. And if they outsize our winners, then we're just in trouble. And then we're not being consistently profitable on a consistent basis. And that's exactly what we want. So if we continue to break upside the 2340 level, I'm going to add to this position. If it breaks this pivot low here, then I'm out of the position. And how can we determine that? Is, hey, we can look at signals on the level 2. We can use volume. We can use the time of sales, even though the time of sales can use some mixed signals. Sorry about that. During these times of hours during the day, but we still want to look in these things for conviction and confluence within the system that we're running. Sharif.
You said confluence.
I did.
I like it. All right, I'm long 60s here on Amazon. I wet my beak at 75s, and now I'm waiting at 88s. We're printing 81s, but we are encountering some selling. I was going to say at around 75, 76. It looks for the moment like that got taken out, but I got to tell you, the bounce here on Amazon relative to some of the other bounces that we got on the Mag 7 names, quite anemic. Spade a spade. Okay?
Spade.
Yeah. So we're printing, we're at 80s right now. I'd like to be able to take it out at 88s. The reason, it's not just because CD Lamb wears 88, but the fact of the matter is there does seem to be some price action, initial support, now resistance at this level. Look, when we ascended into this 90 area, we rejected. Then we started using 90s as support. So if that's the case, we're below it again. I anticipate 90 to interact with the price action in the same way that it's done before, hence why I'm trying to front run it with a beak wetter at 88s. We are having trouble, though, breaking through 8s. Amazon is awfully weak. Okay, that's just the way it is. Whether you want to take it off a key level like I thought I did over here, and the reason I got in, if I didn't make this clear, was because of this, area trough from beginning. So I was looking for the previous area of resistance to act as support, hence why I got in there. And we also coincided with that bounce on the futures contract, the NQ futures contract. Now I just want to show you exactly what I'm talking about. We get that big boy dip breaking below the volume weighted average price, but we hold up at this area trough over here that we printed at 1140 on the 5-minute chart. That level was 20,166. Make of that level what you like, but the fact of the matter is it held up. Okay? It doesn't have to hold up forever and ever, but locally it did. We're having certainly trouble here with 80s on AMZN. We can't ascend above 80 or so, it seems. Maybe anemically we do. 80 showing up again on the ask. I'd like to print 88s, but we'll see again. We won't get upset at these levels. 82s now showing up. All right, baby. Get up. Yeah, it doesn't have quite the same effect
same
there.
Punch, no.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that anymore.
That's all right. That's all right. GME is working. We got GME over here. It's starting to slowly work for us. The volume is slightly dwindling, and that's okay. But if it steps in here, like I said previously before, we're going to add into this position. We got diverging volume on the volume on price moving to the top side. So that's something that we always have to keep an eye out on. All right. So no matter what happens, we're prepared to do what we need to do. If we go for the high day break, I am going to add. If any volume in this stock steps in, I am going to add. And that's how we're going to make this trade a bigger winner than what it currently is. But if it doesn't do anything, then so what? We punch out of the trade, and that's how it's going to do. So, you know what? If you have any questions, guys, on how to make those winners bigger or anything, options, anything, just throw them in the chat. We're going to do our best to answer them here. And the market, it's chopping and turning around. Let's see, let's pull up the Qs here. See what the Qs are up to. And a whole lot of nothing, really, right? So hold on. There we go. Let's see. There we go. So the Qs are just hovering around VWAP. And here we are. Let's go. Boom. The Qs are just hovering around VWAP. Can we go higher? Absolutely. Excuse that trend line. We do not want that. Oh, sorry. No, we'll get rid of it later. But if we're holding these lows here, then that's no problem. We can continue to move to the top side. I've stated this countless times before. It doesn't take much for this market to get going. Jerome can say anything dovish, and we're going to start moving to the top side. If he's hawkish, yeah, we can absolutely sell. But anything that the market perceives as dovish, we're going to absolutely roar. No pun intended, Mr. Kitty.
I like that. That was a nice one. That was a nice one. All right, who's asking me there to look over Duo? Let me just find out their name so I can shut them out. Jetvoy Limited, that's it. Okay, so Duo has been one of those ones that we keep looking at over here. It's not Duolingo, guys. It's a different, it looks like it's a SaaS over here for real estate. $3 has been an obvious issue here for Duo. Obviously, we did break above it, getting into that 359, but that was during the very liquid time of the day, that 1045 or 1050 was the high that got printed. Since that time, it's been a symphony of lower highs and lower lows. That is, of course, until we got to the volume weighted average price, initially at 1150. Okay, we get into that $2.60 area, we pap right into $3. Move back down into that same area, 2 2/3, right back up into 3. So there is a $3, 2 2/3 range until there isn't. When is that going to be the case? Your guess is as good as mine. We either, if I had to be gun in my head here, we probably hold VWAP, right? We've been holding VWAP for the majority of the day. It's kind of doing what I call the VWAP hold high of daybreak, where it has that initial big move up in the liquid time of the day, and then the non-liquid time of the day, aka our show, we basically kind of whiffle and waffle, but above or at VWAP, which is exactly what Duo is doing. And it's got a range off which we can work until it breaks out or breaks down, right? So $3 right now as a top with incrementally higher lows, not by much. Like when you look at this area candle here at 1150, what's the low there? Well, the low is 260, excuse me. The area low over here, not by much, guys, 266. Incrementally higher lows with a flat top at 3. DUO, good look. You can trade it both ways right now is what I'm submitting to you guys, both as a range and then wait for that big boy break if it comes above 3 or below 260 if you want to get short on it. I personally don't like to get short these small cap gappers. In general, I certainly will not short them if they are above VWAP. They have to break down below VWAP. It's kind of the opposite trade that I have for the breakout long. If I'm going to take it a breakdown short, it's going to be below VWAP. And here it is. It's doing things as we're yapping about it. It just broke into local highs. What's this candle? This topping tail candle that we printed at 1215, the high there was 302. Well, we're printing 305s right now. So we haven't been up at this level since 11:20 a.m. So that's over 2 hours now, but that's not by much. And look at the zig and the zag. The sellers shorting up a storm or someone wetting their beak on some profits at these levels. So we haven't cleared it with any distance, but it is a level off which we need to either take a trade or be alert of. So DUO, thank you, Jetvoy, for pointing that out. It's one that I already had my eyes on, but I didn't look at it from exactly that way as I had now, which we'll talk more about when we get back from the big desk with Adair.
So I did a little bit of research here, and I was able to find a time here for comments from the Fed chair. We just have the DXY up here as well on the side. Basically, we're supposed to hear from Fed Chair Jerome Powell from 12 p.m. to 1:40 p.m. That's going to be the time in Nashville, Tennessee, where the event is being broadcast from. So that'd be 1 p.m. to 2:40 p.m. our time. With that, we still don't have an exact time in terms of when he'll be speaking within that window. As said, initially we were thinking 1 p.m., 1:55 p.m. Eastern time could still be an option. So that'd be about half an hour from now. But just noting, we do have an official window through which he might be speaking, which would be 1 p.m. Eastern to 2:40 p.m. Eastern. Just a quick update. We actually do have a schedule for that as of right now, guys.
So much for that, Adair. Thank you for putting some context of when to expect Papa to draw pot lines, Joe, because everybody's been waiting.
Everybody's in it's the anticipation. It's the wait of the day. It's what we're waiting for all day to see what's going on and where this market goes after what he has to say.
Fabian? I know you're on your own today, brother. More sympathy. I cannot
shout out Fabian. He's absolutely killing it in the back. So he's the
Fabian.
one tonight. So shout out to Fabian and shout out to Monty G in the chat for always showing consistent love. Thank you, Monty G. Much appreciated. So just make sure you guys like and subscribe. Throw your options questions into the chat. Throw your level 2 questions into the chat. Sharit's going to do his best job to answer as many as he can. I'm going to do my best job that I can do to answer as many of your options questions as I can. Because that's what we like. We love talking options. Once I start talking options, Sharif, I can just get into a flow.
I get it.
I can't stop, right?
Like, I see it on you, bro.
Like one thing after the other. So we love the options talk, so keep throwing those in there. We were talking about forward earlier today. We have some big positions that potentially might turn out this week as well for options. So we're really liking that. Just to talk on how I set up my options like I was previously saying before. So on the weekend, I'll do my due diligence. I will set my orders. And I won't even look to sometimes till mid in the week. It's either they're filled or they're not. And if they're not, then so what? Then you plan something else, cancel it, modify. And that's just how I got comfortable trading options.
Love it.
Due diligence on the weekend, set those orders, and then you never know how everything's going to turn out. But if you know what you're doing and you have their trade plans set up, then just make sure you execute them the best that you can. And if they work, they work. And if they don't, they don't. We're not going to sit here and cry about it, are we?
You're getting love from the chat, man. Could not agree with you more on that, man. Yeah, that's it's fantastic. Look, guys, Meta's on the way down. It's putting one hell of a rounded top there. Get it, Katina, man?
Jeez.
So look at this rounded top through that 574 and break, obviously doing the dance.
What's the meta with
575. Meta? What's the meta with Meta, says the Chilean Nightmare. Shout out to him. Love Fabian jokes. Coming into VWAP, though, Fabian, and VWAP here an interesting level at 570 and a third. We also have these topping tail candles from the implied balance open. Shout out to Dan, the dang man Emmons over there. Look at this. So if we hold up here, it's not going to just be a VWAP bounce, but there is price action at least locally here, support, formally resistance from that area. So if we get a hold up here, this could be a nice move back up. It's going to give you, if we get to highs, that is, it's a big if, into 574.68. That's $4 some odd, which is a banger on Meta. But we've got another segment with Adair. Get it.
DXY earlier today. Let's take another look at money and the economy here in the afternoon. Still seeing that strength here with a bit of a double bottom, and even on a wick basis here for the DXY and the daily chart. Again, still holding up right as of right now at that 100-point level. Comments from a couple of Fed speakers over the lunch section, including Bostic and Goolsbee. No real movements in response to these comments from what I was seeing, but Goolsbee saying that there will, quote, be a lot of rate cuts. So could be a bit of a bullish note here. It is worth noting as well, we did actually have this survey here from the National Association for Business Economics, the same organization that Jerome Powell is set to be partaking in this forum with as of this afternoon. This survey basically showing that 39%, the majority of forecasters being interviewed here, saying that the biggest downside risk to the U.S. economy over the next 12 months would be, quote, an monetary policy mistake. So that is viewed as an even bigger risk than what happens with regards to the U.S. election outcome or what's going on geopolitically. So this could be definitely weighing on a lot of minds in terms of what the Fed does and its overall outlook on the economy, not just the stock market. Good note here. This is also the screen as we wait for comments from Fed Chair Jerome Powell. We're currently in a bit of a Zoom call. As stated earlier, this event is apparently supposed to go from 1 p.m. Eastern to 2:40 p.m. Eastern. Currently at 1:30 Eastern, so waiting for some comments here as the last hour of that session quickly approaches, guys.
Very much for that, Adara. You and I were just talking off camera, and I think Adara brings up a fantastic point there that the monetary policy slip up could be brutal for this market, whether they wait too long, right, or imagine they don't cut enough. But that kind of comment, Joe, a lot of rate cuts. Why do they say stuff like that?
That's crazy. I don't understand. And they say they don't manipulate the market too much at all, which it doesn't make sense. Stick to the dual mandate, maximum employment. Price stability. Just stick to that. We have a really good question. Well, I wouldn't know if it's a question, but it's something I would not suggest. Ali Anwar, all in 545 meta puts. Okay, let's go. That's a big position. So hold on to that. Make sure you just mitigate your downside risk. Hey, if that's your setup, take the setup, right? If the trade is going in your favor and that's something that you do, then take that. But just be sure to protect your downside, all right? We don't want you getting squeezed too hard and losing too much on the trade more than you should have, all right? So just be careful when you're all in on positions like that. We like to see that you're taking the risk and everything, but just be careful. Just make sure you have your stops in place. That's what the level 2 is for. Shout out to Sharif right beside me. So just be careful. Absolutely. All in 545 meta puts. Hey, best of luck to you, my friend.
All right. Speaking of meta, we're long, and we're going to give this one a try. We're going to give it to the $0.50. We're not going to risk too much over here on META to see if it wants to bounce quickly off the volume-weighted average price, as well as that local area high that we put in at the IB high. We'll see if we can get that. We're printing, what are we printing? 571s. I'm waiting a little bit higher. 99s showing up right now on the ask. 05s now. Let's see if we can ascend a little bit more. It's just a quick scalp trade, knowing that meta is awfully spready, but it can give you a good profit if you can catch it at the right areas. I'm still not convinced about this trade. We'll find out whether I did well on it when we get back from Madeira at the big desk.
EBAY, eBay, pushing into and now, as of right now, rejecting new highs of day. Just getting news here that they've won this dismissal of a lawsuit from the U.S. government, basically accusing the company of violating some environmental laws by selling or allowing harmful products to be sold on its platform and website. So EBAY, successfully getting this lawsuit dismissed to the upside right now. Not a lot of volume on this one, though, guys.
That Adara, yeah, keeping an eye on eBay. Not one that I've really traded a whole lot lately. Man, when's the last time you bought anything off eBay?
I never bought anything.
Never
I thought
in
it was
the history.
Too complicated. Yeah, I think Amazon's so much easier.
It is.
I think it's a way better platform. I never bought anything off eBay.
See, Joe, I'm old enough to remember the good old days with eBay. Like, I'm actually talking about like the bidding back in the day. Remember sniping?
Oh my! They would have auctions on things.
Yeah,
right?
I know they still do, but it's not the same thing.
Like, it was absolutely crazy. I know there were some wild things they would auction off on eBay. And so I was never an eBay person. No,
it's okay.
You know what? I'll leave the online shopping to my girlfriend. Shout out to her. So she's always doing that. Yeah, but I'm an Amazon guy. If I need something from online, I'm going to get it from Amazon.
Fair.
Quick and convenient. Right?
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Some of the stuff, though, like I was looking for some, oh, wow, Meta just tanked big. I got stopped out big there.
Puts.
We lose 30 cents super quick like that big. Yeah, that guy who's printed puts.
Yeah,
was that you there, Katina Man? The Katina Man's printed on the Future. Were you Meta short or Future short? Just Future. I was like, oh, come on, Katina Man. The Katina Man is short on the Future, so he gets printed there. I'm out of this trade. I lose on this one. No, the Katina, that's fair. Thank you, Katina Man, for being kind like that. But the Katina Man printing up several storms on those TQQs. Let me guess. Oh, well, I have to look at the TQQ level, Katina Man, but I was going to say 20,237, if you're able to make that equation there, Katina Man. Let me know where you're short on those T. Yeah, I know. I couldn't look at the level on the TQs. 72.10, he's short. Katina Man short 72.10 on the TQQQ. Shout out to him. I'm keeping my eye on this one. It did have a big boy flush, but we'll see what we get on this one. A bit of a loser here. I'm a little disappointed in myself, but it really blew through my stop. I mean, it really. Where was my stop? Wow. Okay, so we had some slippage there, Joe. Yeah, because we had our. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, right?
Yeah, but we were just saying, like, you get a point. Like, as soon as you enter, it's either going to go a point in your favor or a point against you.
Right, and it's right above VWAP again, this dang thing. So I'm going to keep my eye on this one. I could be persuaded to get back into it. Hammer candle right now, closing above the volume-weighted average price on Meta. It was a specialist breakdown. We've talked about these before. If we continue to trend up, if we trend up off this level, this is what we call a specialist breakout or breakdown, where essentially they're stop hunting only to move it back up or back down. We'll have to wait and see what we get there. But that level on the future still holding, Joe. So we'll see whether that one does it or not. 137, guys, 13 minutes left for you to do this. Get into the chat right now and vote for your favorite tickers. Adara just brought you that eBay news. You want to hear more about that? Get into the chat right now and vote for eBay. Oh, how about this? Let's see what you guys are talking about. Ezekiel, Meta just tanked. Don't I know? I was involved in it. Get into the chat right now, Ezekiel. Have your vote every day and basically vote for Meta. Let's see what else people are voting for there. We got Vegan Trader talking about MLGO. Get into the chat, Vegan Trader. Vote for MLGO. See how Neil and Sean would have traded it. Nathan, WSB. Get into the chat. Vote for WSB every day, guys. It is your segment on the afternoon rundown. Exclamation point, the word join, space, $, and the ticker of your choice every day. You can vote from the start of this show at 11 o'clock till 1:50. So the big kahunas come on.
Hey, bang, bang. So we got a good question from Beignet Mignon in the chat. we like it. I had some steak on the weekend. We love it. Talk more about the spreads you sell, which stocks, which deltas, which time frames. All right, so we're going to go from backwards to forward. Which time frame? Dailies. I use the daily chart to choose which stock I'm going to select my credit spread on, which deltas, always 0.1 or less, so a 90% chance of expiring out the money, all right? And which stocks? It depends on the technical setup. I like the Mag 7 mid caps. Those will offer you the most premiums possible, so Mag 7 and those mega caps to mid caps, look for things that are gonna offer a little bit more premium, so great question, Beignet Mignon. And guys, stay tuned because coming up soon, we'll have introduction to options. I know we go right into credit spreads, but we're going to take a couple steps back and we're going to start from the very beginning. We're going to start right where I started in learning options. Things will get tough, things will get confusing, but on the other side, here, the grass is always greener on the other side. It's going to be tough. But once we get through it and we get more practice, rinse and repeat, more practice, we're going to get a good understanding of options. So coming soon, we have the introduction to options. All right, guys? So stick forward to that. Keep sending your option questions in the chat. We enjoy them. I love answering the questions. I love talking options. So keep doing what you guys are doing. Keep working hard and much appreciated.
Man, we got a lot of feedback last time from that options lesson, bro. People very happy with that. I think that, it's been one of those things where we haven't been talking about it on this desk. And thank you, Joe, for bringing that knowledge and dropping those hotlines, man, because I think people really want to, and the kind of moves you can get to on that. And it's a nice weapon or like another arrow in your quiver.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's a tool to add to your arsenal, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they're meant to be, is just add more diversity to your trading. Arsenal, right? And that's why we like options. You can use them in multiple ways, like you were saying. They can be your primary source, or they can be something secondary, right?
Yeah.
Like all the Call of Duties, your loadout. You can pull out the secondary on the loadout, and then that's it. So, yeah.
There you go. Frank Jones getting that love, man. Yeah. I can use that session for sure.
Yeah,
my man Frank, he was dropping hotlines last week as well. He had an entire lesson planned out for you guys on Thursday. So make sure to check that out. Okay, we are now live, guys, right here. I'm hearing it right now. Here it is. Adara, get it.
I was just going to say, this meeting just began here. Apparently it's during lunch, so people currently eating here. We do have this being introduced right now. I'll let you guys know once Fed Chair Jerome Powell takes the microphone. As of right now, this session apparently just beginning about an hour later than we were expecting, guys.
It's this Fidelity Investments dude. He's the introduction guy. He's talking about the conference, obviously. Right down here, Fabian, can I show them my screen? Right down here, guys, is, I know it's hard to see. What Ram typically does, Fabian, is she takes a screenshot of this and she puts it up for everyone to see. I don't know if you're able to do that, brother. Let me know if you're able to. Yeah, so this is just the closed captions for what the individual is saying. So we'll be able to leave that up on the screen. We're expecting Jerome Powell, guys, to be at this conference. Obviously very important for the market. Papa Powell is a market moving kind of speaker. So we're all eyes and ears and everything else to see what this market does off these levels. We've already had Fed speak on the day. Goolsbee dropping hot lines as well about how rate cuts, there's going to be many more rate cuts. That's obviously been a point of speculation amongst market participants. Where do we go down? Where is that terminal rate where we stop cutting, right? Historically, the current rates we're at are kind of normal to low. But if you look the past 15 years, we're elevated. So off which standard are we going to base it? The last 15 years, decade and a half? Or are we going to be, historically over the 100 years? What's up, Fabian? Oh, there they are. Ooh. Yeah, so look, if I go like this, you know what, Fabian? No, leave it like that. But then I can put this show on all desktops, and then that will show even when I move it. So put it back. See? Nice. Okay, so that's what we're going to do with that. Sick. Thank you for that, Fabian. Shout out to you, bro. Because that's, I don't know, users can definitely use that. We'll leave that up there for them. So, guys, you've got 7 minutes left to vote for the Big Kahunas on the afternoon segment. If you want Neil and Sean looking at the trades or the tickers as decided by you, only the top 5 make it on. So persuade your friends to vote your way. Only the top 5 make it on. Joe, what are you looking at, brother?
I'm looking at AMD here. I punched into some AMD short here. We like it right around VWAP. Vignette, to finish that question, weeklies. I sell weekly spreads, so you get that consistent weekly income, all right? So, again, we're just looking at AMD here. We like it around VWAP. We're about to shoot off with JP in a matter of minutes soon, so we're not much longer until he comes. So he's going to bring some volatility into the market without a shadow of a doubt. So we're waiting for him absolutely to see what he brings, and maybe we continue to the downside. I've said this earlier in the day that, hey, maybe the Qs are lagging a little bit. Do they need any steam to get going? If JP is dovish, hey, we can start trading extremely higher and higher and higher. Until then, we're just going to pack our patience and wait and see what he has to say. So, guys, tell me what you're looking at. Oh, Blue Moon, I think, said, Joe, can you look at MU? Absolutely. Is it going higher in the future? We're going to take a look at MU right now. That ticker is a little more difficult to trade. It chops a lot. Oh, that's not MU. It's AMD. It chops a lot. It's moving down to the downside here. So we'll see. It reported not too long ago, last week, I believe. So we're going to see what it continues. So don't fight the trend. I don't know if this stock's going to go higher. We have a potential topping signal after this big move. As you can see, the correlation in the volume signature and the candle print. It's a little toppy here, all right? So this could be just a pullback, considering that this volume is a little lower, so diverging volume as we proceed down. But don't fight the trend. Don't try to long this stock when it's clearly indicating, hey, I'm a short, so don't short me. That's the look on MU. So we're just going to pull back to AMD and see what AMD is doing. If we can break this 163.50 level, then that's going to be great. Then we're going to get that downside move on AMD, sorry. And maybe the rest of the market wants to go with it. This stock, again, it's kind of been underperforming a little bit. It was devastated when it was around $200. I think it sold off heavily, and it hasn't fully recovered yet. So that's okay. I still like AMD. It's one of the top semi stocks. So we're still overall bullish, even though we're short on the stock right now. I'm a little bullish on AMD, and I'm definitely bullish on those semis because in my personal account, SOXL, it's up there. Shout out to Sharif. We got a big position in SOXL, so we're nice, bullish on the semis, especially for the long duration. This is what everything needs to run. You got the Blackwell chip. Is it Blackwell out yet?
Yeah, no, Q4.
Q4?
Yeah.
So Blackwell's coming out, so that's a game changer. AMD, I think, took over the PS6 contract. So these guys are going to be putting, so they were heavy gaming.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah, so AMD is going to be involved with the PlayStation 6, so keep your eye out. That can definitely add some strength into the overall stock and more revenue and more strength onto the EPS.
You got a question here from Hal R. Sharif, when Joe is trading credit spreads, does he typically sell spreads that are $5 wide? Also, what delta is Joe usually looking for in the target sell price? Thank you.
Perfect. Love the question. $5 credit spreads. That's exactly it. My spread is typically $5. Why? To minimize my downside risk, but I can also collect a little bit more premium. if you were to sell like a $10 spread, then your downside risk is vastly more. Yeah, you collect premium, but the downside risk isn't worth it. So I like to find a median that's $5 spreads. And what was the second half of the question there?
The second half was also what delta is usually is Joe usually looking for on the target sell?
0.1. 0.1
I remember this.
90% chance of expiring out the money. That is what we are looking at. A 0.1 delta, 10% chance of expiring in the money. The inverse is what we are looking for, 90% chance of expiring out the money.
All right, we got who was this? Eli Mark wanting to know about NEO. So let's have a look at NEO. It's been a rocket ship today, giving back a lot though, Fabian, off that initial move. So let's put in the throw in the ticker so you guys can follow along. NIO has done awfully well lately. We need to respect what this name has been doing. Have a look at the daily. It's been like, this is a respectable look. Obviously, we're not really at the highs, nowhere near them, but look where we were basing out. We found a lot of support at 375. Hard to believe we were down there. And since we got to that 375, to the highs today, we're up 111% since the end of August, okay? David Tepper was on CNBC on Friday or Thursday or whatever, and he was pounding the dang desk about buying everything that you can in Chinese ADR world. That is not financial advice, and I'm not saying to follow him, but looks like big money is very interested again in these ADRs. Morgan Stanley saying something to that same effect about these ADRs. Now, whether you believe in the Chinese trade, I happen to think they're very good companies, but I also happen to feel they are subject to geopolitics, and that is the wild card. Doesn't matter what the books look like, doesn't matter what your TAM is, if the geopolitics is against you, needless to say, it's a bit of a headwind. So great look for Neil. Let's look intraday to see what we could do, take some trades off. Ooh. So topping into that 7 3/4. We couldn't even get into the pre-market high. In fact, since the bell has rung, we've been using the volume weighted average price as resistance. And then on the way down, we respected the 10 with the deeper retracement coming into the 20. I'm just keeping my eye on the speakers. It looks like we're getting a change in speakers. That new speaker coming in is not Jerome Powell as of yet. So keeping an eye on the speakers, obviously. This is the National Association for Business Economics. This is the conference. It's taking place right now. Adara's thrown the link in the chat multiple times. Just go and scroll up and look at her message. She's thrown the YouTube link. If you're interested, those closed captions right there on your screen, like right there. Oh, that's pretty cool. Those are closed captions off my screen of that event. So you can go ahead and have a read there. Thank you, Fabian, again for doing that. Great look there. There's a lot of small cap gappers that are still in play, guys. And I'm going to throw it to Joe in a second, but I want to let you know that CAPR is still holding up. So is DUO. DUO is still locked in that $3 range, $2.70 range that we were talking about. That's still playing. XHG dip below VWAP super quick, now above it again. DSY I'm not touching. That's a bit of a retracement there. But ASTS reclaiming VWAP. Astis reclaiming VWAP here could be another move back up. Astis is quite volatile and has been for a hot minute. And then down here we got CGC, one of the losers that I had today. Adara's got something. We're going to throw it to her. Ooh.
Just a quick update here. We do not have pitcher Jerome Powell yet. He's set to begin speaking in about 4 minutes at 1:55, or I guess almost 3 minutes. We're getting into that 1:52 period. Anyways, 1:55, he's set to start speaking. From what I'm seeing, according to CNBC, he'll be giving a speech first. Then he'll be getting into a bit of a Q&A. So speech, then Q&A is supposedly what's in the cards here in about 3 minutes. Currently, we do still have some speeches being given and some awards being presented here.
Letting me know that it's his job to hear Adara, and the pitches are not my job to overhear anything. Hey. So he's like, "Do you want to direct, bro?
Hey.
Do you want to direct, bro?"
You know what? Fabian's here now. Fabian's here, and Sharif's in the back. So that's it.
Shout out to Fabian, man. He's killing. He's on his own today.
He's smashing it.
Where are you at, Ram?
Ram.
Let's go, Ram.
Watching? Ram, are you watching? Shout out Easy Media, by the way. Thanks for the love, brother. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. So one question.
Yep.
Question for Joe. Does Joe ever buy or sell options on the TQQs? If so, how far do you like to go out from at the money? No, I don't. So the TQQs are a derivative of a derivative, essentially. I do not trade those. It's a leverage product, right? So you're trading a leverage product on a leverage product. I've never done that before, so I can't really speak. But if I am going to do it, I am looking for weeklies, all right? But it also depends on the system that you are employing. My specific system is weeklies. Be wary of theta and the Greeks, which we will go through in the introduction to options part 2, but not part 1. So just be careful, all right? So before you jump into something, know your metrics, know your downside risk, know what strategy you're trying to employ. But as for trading TQQs, it is a derivative of a derivative. I do not trade that, Sharif.
Got you. The speaker is back up there. I think this is like the master of ceremonies or whatever. We'll see if he's introducing Jerome Powell yet or what the situation is. I'm trying to have a listen, obviously, while we do the show. No Jerome Powell quite yet, but we've got everything, up on the other side screen, and we've got Adara at the big desk. Everything is being monitored. Anything new, we shall bring it to you guys. Keeping an eye on these Mag 7s because they tend to move with the way the future is, and the future obviously is being moved by Jerome Powell and any comments he may make during set time. So keep an eye on that. I was very interested in possibly waiting for this base to form on Meta, but I think I'm just going to leave this trade alone, despite the fact that I like how it's setting up. If we move up here on Meta and if we move up in the market in general, I think this is a really good look on Meta. And even though I'm negative on it, let me make my case again. Topping tail candle showing you that there's certainly resistance there, at least initially. Sure, we break above it, we get almost into 575. Now we get down right into that same area. But look at the pattern we're putting in at this area. Bottoming tail candles, not topping tail candles, meaning that the depression in the price below 570 is being bought aggressively, and not just once, twice, or maybe thrice, but 4 times. These are 4 5-minute candles, all of which have lower bottom wicks than they do. They don't even have upper top wicks, quite frankly, from what I can glean, except no, they don't. They're negligible, essentially. So if we get that curl in the same way that we got this curl on the top with these topping tail candles, look how this exact opposite. You have topping tail candles at the top, and then you start curling back down. If we get these bottoming tail candles and start curling back up, I think this is a hell of a look on Meta, and this could provide you like a $3-4 winner, really depending on where you get in. It's an interesting look. I don't want to jump into it too quickly, but we'll see. Okay, somebody's taking the stage here. Let's go ahead, Adara.
President here, Ellen Zettner, she's set to be moderating here this conversation with Fed Chair Jerome Powell and introducing him now. So keep an eye here on the cues. We do have the NASDAQ pushing a little bit higher as we await this introduction. So his introduction here, imminent, right on time at 1:55, guys.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. We're just keeping an eye on that. Now I've watched Meta. Wow, bamboozlement. Wow, bamboozlement. It shot up to 571, back down to 570. Like, come on, bruh. So we're going to keep an eye on this one, and I'm not sure how to execute on it, nor do I think it's prudent for me to execute on it now. I got to be off this desk in 5 minutes, and this is a trade that could take less than 5 minutes, quite frankly. You can get $2 quick as you like that on Meta. Whether or not that happens is an entirely different story, Joe. But we're zigging and zagging right now, waiting for Jerome Powell to take the news, or to take the podium, excuse me. I should also mention this to you guys, that Microsoft has had one hell of a bit of a consolidation range here between 2 key levels. One, the closing print of Friday, essentially at 428, and the second, the volume weighted average price. Essentially, it's at 427, a little bit higher than the third. And it has been locked into that dang range since 105, so almost an hour now. Maybe waiting for Jerome Powell, kind of setting up like an interesting maybe head and shoulders, where this guy clearly works out on his left shoulder way more than his right shoulder, bro. Yeah. But, I've seen some guys like that at the gym. It's okay. I'm not judging.
You can skip a leg day. It's never hurt anybody.
All right, Jerome Powell's on the mic now, guys. Papa Powell is on the mic, and here we go. Go ahead, Adara.
The official stream from the NABE, National Association for Business Economics website. Fed Chair Jerome Powell just stepped onto the podium and began speaking, but I'm already seeing his prepared remarks circulating here on Twitter saying that, quote, policy will move over time towards a more neutral stance. Also saying that there are some two-sided risks and it's going to be meeting by meeting in terms of how they're making these decisions. So nothing pre-planned. They'll be talking about each decision here at the meeting, continuing to talk about labor conditions, but now saying these are a little bit more solid. So here's a summary of these statements, also saying there that their colleague, Powell and his colleagues have achieved greater confidence that inflation is on its way 2% in a sustainable way. Again, there is going to be a Q&A as well from what I'm seeing, but that's a summary of prepared remarks that I'm seeing circulating around social media, guys.
Thank you for that, Adair. You love when they have the prepared remarks. Kind of takes a little bit of the unknown out of it. The wild card, obviously, is the presser, though, after, because you could say anything. You could be asked anything.
Who knows? Who knows what he's going to say, right? Yeah. He's unpredictable at times, but that's okay. Hey, but we're in some NVIDIA. We were hoping that we would get a little bit of a volume to step in here, but we're at exactly where we want to be. We're at VWAP, so we're going to take the break of VWAP. We're a little bit in the money here, which is good, but we're looking for a little bit more of a move. So if we get any volume to step in, especially at this 2 o'clock hour, we really like that. As you can see, we've formed a bottom here. We've held this bottom. Let me change this. This is not what I wanted done, but as you can see on this one here, on this line indicator, that, hey, we held this level. The price doesn't want to go any lower than what it's currently at, and that's fantastic. That's fine. I'm going to join long because this stock is strong, and I'm going to look to join the trend, and that's just how I am. And as you can see, we are moving aggressively to the top side. So we are working out. This trade is working out. This has been my best trade of the day, and I'm going to continue to keep going back to something that is working, right? That's what we want to do. So when things are working, don't fight it and keep going back to the same thing until it's not working. Sharif.
Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. Great trade there, Joe. Timone, I hope I didn't butcher your name, but your comment was hilarious. Timone, I don't know, bro. Whatever. Purple tie called it bullish. I like that. I definitely like that because he is. Well, it looks like a violet tie, but I think maybe the colors are not as accurate on my stream as well. In any event, I think the market is curling up a little bit here. Let me show you the Mag 7 before we send you over to the Big Kahunas in a hot second. They're getting locked and loaded. You got to bounce off volume weighted average price on Softy. Amazon breaking through it. Apple holding it. Tesla working back into that VWAP. Look at Google, nowhere near VWAP. The Future back above VWAP. You saw Joe's trade. You know NVIDIA is above VWAP. So everything on the right path here, Joe, except Meta, because it's doing nothing. I guess it's had its moment in the sun. I don't know. Any final thoughts, though, before we send it over to the big boys?
No, that's it. I like the position that we're in.
Good.
Just make sure before we send it off to the big boys, Sean and Neil, this Thursday, we have an action-packed options lesson, the beginning. Options trader, the introduction to options. So if you're new or if you're veteran and you want a refresher, come and join us on Thursday because we're going to have a great time talking more options.
I'm going to be there.
Hey, I'm there. Present.
All right. Be there or be square, says Chile Memo. With that in mind, we're going to send you over to the Big Kahunas. Joe and I will be back on tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Get it, boys.
All right. Thank you, Jen.
All right, let's get it started.
Informative show there as we waited
sir.
the whole show basically for Jerome Powell to come through. We thought it was going to be one. We double-checked that with Adara, and it's two. And then it's prepared remarks.